Welcome to Mr. Podcast with Claude.
And Justin.
We're back with the season finale, possibly series
Could be.
finale, but definitely season finale
Definitely.
of Watchmen 109. See How They Fly, televised podcast, recorded audio blog
Yeah. Audio blog. Nice. Nice. So
audio
old
blog.
school.
Bringing it
Bring
back,
back the audio
retro.
blog.
Where's the
Yeah.
audio blog? People
I like
forget.
it.
Podcasts
Yeah.
used to be audio blogs.
Remember Moblog?
Moblog for when your audio blog needs to be mobile. We should do that. We should start each podcast with like internet history trivia.
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree. So
yeah.
much is forgotten. The internet is the temple of the ephemeral. And so I feel
Wow, Temporal the Ephemeral. First of all, that's our new band name. We're clearly a metal group, I think.
Yeah, it sounds that way. Yeah.
But like with orchestral touches.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, prog metal.
yeah. We'll do shows with the whole symphony.
Yeah.
Uh, Temporal the Ephemeral. You're right, aka the internet, and that's what's weird is this the temporal the ephemeral, and yet there's a lot of ways you can have that cataloged over time, and we're one of the catalogs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's the Wayback Machine,
The
that's
Wayback
kind of
Machine. Yep.
nice for digging that stuff up. But I do feel like it's designed to not be like that, where like
Hmm.
the past is erased, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can like bring it back with using the old memory.
Well, that's the thing. The internet is like a organism, right? It's
It
evolving and
is.
changing over time, and
Yeah,
but the vestiges of its previous qualities are still there,
that's true.
and aka Moblog.
Right.
Yeah, I think a lot of people today, the younger kids specifically, don't really. They obviously don't know the history of the internet the way those of us who are around in its inception do. Sort of that how it changed incrementally over time. I mean, we were around before on demand, before internet was always on,
Right.
right? Like there was a
Yeah,
time
yeah.
when like you were like, why would I want to always be connected to the internet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Always? Clearly, there are long stretches at night when I'm sleeping where I
Yeah.
don't need to be connected.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Why would you do that? Makes no
Yeah, it's
sense.
crazy.
Unplug. Turn it
Um
off. Shut it down.
yeah, and speaking of shutting it down, that's what they did in this episode of The
Oh, you want to talk
Watchmen.
about the episode now?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
talk about the episode.
Okay. See how they fly. So I think I get this title finally after a whole season of less than literal titles.
Who's flying?
I assume it's the squids.
Okay. Oh, you think it's the squids?
That's what it sounds like.
Okay.
They're the ones that fly, aren't
Well,
they? Well, maybe they don't fly, but they
is it
drop.
flying? Yeah, it's not see how they drop.
That's true.
So now you're back to not getting it.
Maybe it's not the squids. I don't know. Maybe it's Lady True's machine. It's only
Yeah,
one thing though. It's not really a they.
yeah.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
think they're all flying metaphorically, right? They're all striving and reaching for very big goals. A lot of characters in this episode.
Sure.
That's the general sense that I got from See How They Fly. But and also there's several people trying to get Dr. Manhattan's powers, which would allow them to fly.
I guess Ozymandias have flies, in a
Hmm.
spacecraft.
He definitely flies. So he's non-binary, so they call him they. Is that is that what we're
Yeah,
surmising
that's.
here?
I'm just trying to include him in the larger group.
Yeah, yeah. That's why he was so PC in that episode, right? When he
He
was like,
was
"Hey,
super PC. Cultural
hey,
appropriation
cultural
alert.
appropriation. We don't stand for that." Warren 2020. Um, No,
I think he'll be a very good president.
I like her tax policies. Um, although I'm thinking maybe he's more of a Bernie guy.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, maybe he's more of a Bernie.
I feel the
Um,
burn.
oh jeez. Um,
Yeah, so I gotta say I have a few things to say about this episode.
oh, how convenient. We're podcasting.
Yeah, can I say some things? So, like, how do I want to get into this? Let me just say, yeah, I'll just like try to go from here to there. Like, we start with the general? Let me start with the general, okay?
Start with the general.
So, like, I would say in general,
Mm-hmm.
I in general, I thought it was fine. I wasn't blown away by it, and in a way I was let down. I guess, hey, endings are hard. Building up intrigue. I mean, we've all seen Lost, we've all seen other shows where the
Yep.
build up sort of, even Twin Peaks, if you think about 17, like the payoff part is like, ugh, what?
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
just feels, I don't know. I think the fact that it all came down to like we all want to be Dr. Manhattan, and they were
Yeah.
just gonna like, and like
Yeah.
Lady True's like evil turn. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. To me, it was just all a bit like breezy and a little bit like the end of that episode of Twin Peaks where it's like, oh, it's over now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Uh okay, who cares kind of? I don't know. I was a little disappointed with how that all played out. And the other thing that so yeah, okay, so that's the general.
Yep.
Going into the specific, which I already kind of did. The Lady True, like her the Millennium Clock is so she can like harness or download or whatever Dr. Manhattan's powers, is like whatever, that's fine for an answer, but a little disappointing that like everything revolves around that. And
Mm-hmm.
then the other thing was, well, there's two other things. So the two other things were, um I thought it was okay. I'm not going to complain, and you strongly hinted about this before. I don't know if you saw a spoiler or something, or if you just guessed it, because you do that sometimes. um but just the fact that the this whole like Jeremy Irons Adrian Veidt like plot is, it's like Westworld, where what we're seeing is not, even though it's cutting back and forth, it's not
Mm-hmm.
happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Like everything we saw was before like the whole
Was a
season
flashback.
basically. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So it's like the Westworld move, which like I'm just calling it the Westworld move now because like
Mm-hmm.
Westworld did it, and
Yeah.
like ugh, I didn't really like Westworld. And then the other thing that I was a little disappointed by, even though like applause in a way, but the fact that they went for the Inception ending, like I guess like you know
I
Inception's
think
ending.
they had to go there. They had to end it that way.
I guess so, but I was just a little disappointed that I just felt like, nah, seen this ending.
Well, and the other thing that I read about it is it's the end of the comic. There's a parallel to the end of Watchmen here, where I believe the end of the comic is a hand hovering over. I think it's Rorschach's journal,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
that's paralleled here with the foot hovering over the water. So it was like a thematic connection to
Oh,
how that ended.
okay,
So it's more than just
okay,
is she or does she or doesn't she have the power Inception ending. It was also
call
connecting
back.
directly back to that. So
Okay,
I give it a little
okay,
bit of credit for that since it's tying
sure.
into the source material. But
Yeah,
I hear your
yeah.
general point about that. But I think that's, you can't end it like Lindelof specifically can't end it any other way. I mean, there's no way you get the definitive proof in the finale like this. There's just no way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. It was so like so similar, the place they leave you, that
Yeah.
I just felt like, I already saw this. I don't know,
But
like
also
it's
like it's
fine.
also like Inception, I feel like I know the right answer, even though
Mhm.
they ended on the cliffhanger. I feel
Yeah,
like I still
yeah.
know the right answer
Yeah.
because there's a most interesting answer, and that's the one
Right.
that's probably true.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
give you the
yeah.
possibility, you know. But I think for a one season show, it's the right ending. Um, you know, obviously, if they would have ended it with her definitively having powers and there's no second season, that's to me more disappointing.
Mhm.
If there's no second season now, then I feel like this is the perfect ending.
Right.
And apparently, it's not guaranteed. He has no idea for a season two.
Yeah,
And
I
I
read
read
that
that.
interview.
Yeah, I read that he's like, I would love if someone pitched me an idea. I would completely love that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'll pitch an idea. Um, I think I agree with you overall, though. I think in a general sense, I was a little bit. I think from episode 4 or 5, the trajectory of how
Yeah,
good the show was, episode by episode, was flatlining
I agree.
and sort of
I
trailing
agree.
off
The
as
early
it
stuff was so good. It
because it
really
was more open ended, and as this is
yeah.
just the nature of storytelling
It's
that
true.
as it you know what do they call it when the lines go to a horizon converge
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
towards the end goal or end game or whatever, like it just gets less interesting. And I just think that's obviously there's ways you can keep it interesting, but I think overall it just gets less interesting by nature. And so I think that was hard to deal with. I felt like I should have guessed that True's goal would have mirrored
Me too.
the goal of the cavalry. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I thought we talked about it in the last podcast, and I thought
Yep.
their goals were in opposition, which
Me
they
too.
are. But I thought
They're in opposition
that
because they want the same thing and they can't vote Catholic.
yeah, exactly, which is the most direct conflict you can have. Versus, I thought she had a different way to solve the white supremacy problem.
Mhm.
Um, and the thing I didn't catch that might have made me be in a better position to guess her ultimate goal was the I did guess that she was Ozymandias's daughter.
Yep. Yeah. So right about that.
Yeah. Now the thing that I didn't think about the next, you know, uh, idea in that line of ideas would be that okay, she's the smartest woman in the world. I knew she was smart. I knew she was this tech genius, but I didn't really think because of the genetics that makes her like him, and because of the genetics that makes her basically a bad guy.
Right.
And so I still wasn't think if I would have thought, she's his daughter, she's a megalomaniac too. She's gonna have some conspiracy to get ultimate power too. What's the way to get ultimate power? They want to take Dr. Mahen's power. That's what she wants. That's what Melinda Clark does. I feel like I could have gotten there, but I didn't realize that her being his daughter meant she was gonna have his traits.
Right.
I didn't even go that far with it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, in a way the plot does mirror the one from the comics,
Mm-hmm.
strangely, in the end.
Yeah.
They hit a lot of similar points. Um so yeah, I totally agree. I feel like it was right there. Um
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, and it's like Occam's razor of storytelling. Like
yeah,
everybody wants the same thing. Everybody. That's
yeah.
just how you
There's one episode
maximize.
left. Like, what
Yeah.
what are they? They're gonna just throw something new in out of nowhere?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
We always want them to do that, and
we
they never
do.
do that.
No, they never do. It's so true. It's
The
so
island is a spaceship from a parallel dimension. Because we've had spaceships on the show before, right? No. Okay. Then why would it show up now? Because I want it to. All right. Let's see if you're right about that. Oh, you were wrong about that? Huh. Surprise, surprise. That was me talking to me back in 10 years ago. So yeah. The other thing I thought it just kind of wound down in a way, right?
yeah,
I
it
guess like
did.
a ticking clock running out of battery or something.
Yeah,
uh it just
Yeah.
kind of came to an end. I think we finally understood Judd's character though.
Yeah, they explained that pretty much.
Like, oh, he was just undercover. And it was like,
Yeah.
oh, that was we kept asking, why was he hanging out with the family? That was another
Yeah.
one I thought we could have guessed. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
he's just doing recon.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems so once you know the deal, it's like
Yeah.
that should have been that was right there.
Yeah. It's obvious.
It really is. I don't know
Hmm.
why I was still. I just that opening mystery was so compelling, and then the answer is just kind of like.
Yeah.
I like the idea that Doctor Manhattan's there, but it's just like, and I also get, by the way, the logic of they looked at the story from the original comics, and it's
Hmm.
like Doctor Manhattan. I mean, he's basically the only one who like has powers, and he has
Hmm.
some crazy ass powers
Yeah.
and like I saw Damon Lindelof say in an interview, like, Ozymandias never, as far as he could tell, like just asks, like, hey, Dr. Manhattan, could you just like make all the nuclear weapons disappear or
Hmm.
send them somewhere else or disarm them or, you know, use your
Yeah.
powers basically to do this thing that where I'm gonna drop a squid on New York. Like,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
is that the go-to when you have this guy who can like just
Yeah.
snap his fingers and
Yep.
shit happens? It's like so like going off of that, it's like, well, okay, then if other people can get Dr. Manhattan's powers, they're gonna want him because he's like super
Yep.
powerful. So like how about if the whole plot revolves? So apparently, another thing I learned from that interview, I don't know if you read the same one I did, but I thought it was interesting that he revealed that early on, the cavalry wasn't doing that in the early stages. They were going to do the mesmerism thing. That was the original
Mm.
idea for the cavalry, that they were going to use mesmerism to try to
Yeah.
like turn
The race
black people
war.
against each other. And they basically just pushed that plot to the flashback, and they made them go after Dr. Manhattan in the present day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was actually uh, going to be
That's
their
interesting,
thing.
and that made sense. And it felt. I remember I was talking about that in the podcast. That felt like maybe that's what they were going to do is use that mesmerism again with
Yeah,
whatever portal technology somehow. And
yeah,
that was the other thing
yeah,
I didn't really put into words exactly is they just want another race war. Like it's like I know they're racist and I know they want supremacy, but I didn't connected to the Tulsa race riot, right?
right,
Of like this is the thing that they actually want, and this is what they were actually trying to incite in the mesmerism days, right?
right.
Like I didn't catch that so explicitly that that's really just what they want is a race war, and then they can get the power they want through that chaos.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, and what did the dude say that he was gonna do with Doctor Manhattan's powers? Did he was he ever explicit?
Does he say? Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, I think he's just like, we want a race war, and I can
We're
do
going
it
to.
with the. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't
Yeah.
catch what he was gonna do.
He's a blue white man to save us all.
Yes. So speaking of that, Blue White Man, and what you were saying about the whole overall, everybody's trying to get Dr. Manhattan's powers, and I do appreciate that about the show is you can tell you can get a sense of the conversations that they had from the original Watchmen and the ideas
Yep.
that were left on the table and how do we exploit those, right? That stuff's super
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
uh but to me, I thought on a grand thematic level, you have the original Watchmen being this white guy who becomes the most powerful man in the world, and with the TV show being so about race, right,
Mhm.
and equality and all these concepts, I thought it actually made sense that you have basically what you have in Dr. Manhattan's character. His character arc is a blue guy who's a white blue guy, realizes through his experiences as a black blue guy that the power that he has, like he realizes it has a different effect, and that it's inevitable that people will be coming after his power, and then he decides to give, the black blue guy decides to give his power up to a black blue woman, and
Hmm.
like that's the overall arc,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
to pass the torch. And we kind of hinted on this in a previous podcast when we were talking about the poster for the show, which is Sister Night, and she's cast in a blue light. And I remember saying that blue light was really interesting, and of course now it was just foreshadowing
Yeah,
that she was gonna get his power,
definitely.
that she was gonna be the new Manhattan, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I really liked it. Overall, it's a really solid show, a really great first season. I think it it did get like a toe in the water towards that Westworld thing you were talking about,
Hmm.
where it could have just really rested on gimmicks.
Hmm.
Luckily, it had really interesting ideas and really good characters, but I think
Yeah, no, I don't think it was nearly as bad as Westworld.
no,
It's
not
just,
nearly. It just yeah, just a
yeah,
toe.
a toe,
And
definitely.
but I agree with you that at the end I was kind of like, so what?
Yeah.
Particularly with the concepts of white supremacy and race
Hmm.
relations, and I like they didn't really leave us anywhere
Yeah.
that I thought said anything.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed that I kind of felt like I was on the right track when I said in podcast whatever, that I didn't think the cavalry mattered very much,
Mm-hmm.
because ultimately they're just there to like get knocked down by
Yeah,
Lady
and it didn't.
True, and then okay, now
Yeah,
Ozymandias has to kill Lady True, and it's just sort of like you're gone,
the
you're
thing that
gone.
was great about Watchmen in the beginning was the things that were happening on the show related to our real world,
Yeah.
and the ideas and the questions and the situations you could put in our world's context. And I think by the end of the show, it's not really there anymore
Yeah, I
because
agree.
there's really nothing said about it or done about it in a
Yeah.
real way. I mean, and even I think in the interview Lindelof said, you know, even though the leadership of the cavalry were, lasered to death, like that's not going to stop white supremacy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that doesn't really mean anything outside of that. And I think that's the only thing that was sort of left, that it didn't satisfy, was there was nothing for me to take away from that conversation that had been going the whole time.
Yeah, I agree. They have this final scene with Angela and Will, and they did reveal that he took the name
Yeah,
Reeves from
we
the
were talking
movie,
about
which
that. Yeah,
clarified that point. That
something else
was,
I should have guessed.
yeah, yeah, I know it seems obvious, but I
We
thought
were
it was
like,
some
how
weird
did he get the same
coincidence.
name? Like, as if people can't change their name.
I know. I know, especially a character like that who's like
Yeah,
specifically like undercover in various ways.
yeah.
Anyway, there's a final scene with the two of them in the movie theater, and I mean, there was nothing wrong with the scene, but I did feel like they kind of just they tried to bring it back to those earlier points,
Mm-hmm.
but it felt like they just kind of recapitulated some things from earlier and didn't necessarily. I don't know. I didn't feel like it was connected to what had just been happening.
Yeah,
It sort of felt like, okay, well, all that's over, so let's just forget about that and go back. I don't know.
yeah.
It was kind of awkward.
But it
I,
was
I
also trying to set up the next thing for her
right,
character, so it was
right.
a lot going on.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I wanted that stuff to work better because I do feel like that was supposed to be the emotional, core in addition to the relationship stuff with
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Manhattan, and I just think yeah, they struggled to connect them even though I mean there's technically a connection there, but um yeah, I think it's a little bit I don't know. By the end, it feels a bit unfinished.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever felt like was a really clear arc or direction at the beginning. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, part of it is, the Ozymandias character ends up nowhere. I mean, it was interesting what was happening with him, but he didn't have a point. You know what I mean? There was no thematic thrust to his character that related to the
Yeah.
rest of the show.
Yeah.
He was basically in his own show, and then he shows up as a guest star in the end to the main show. You know,
Yeah.
and even his adventures on Europa were like, well, what's the point of this? And even,
Yeah.
even I thought there would be some conversation when he does see Dr. Manhattan again about his time on Europa or about the
Mhm.
clones or about whatever, like, great. Like, you wanted to go to this place where you would be worshipped. It was the worst mistake you've ever made. Now you got back. Don't you have something to say about it to the
Mhm.
person who sent you there? Like,
Yeah.
and I know the timing wasn't good,
Right.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't really tell. Like, it seems like did it even matter, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
Um,
agree. It's almost like it's just a contrivance so that he can be off
yeah,
screen and yet still be in the show for most of the
yeah,
season.
and I assume that you also put together that when that episode where Lady True buys the land from
Yeah,
that
the
it's his
comet.
spaceship that's landing.
Yeah.
And
Honestly, I didn't like from the episode. I was like, well, I guess they just didn't do anything with that. But
mhm,
then yeah, then I saw in the interview that
yeah,
the interviewer specific was like, okay, just to make sure that was the spacecraft, right? Yeah, okay. Good. So
yeah.
yeah, that did clarify that point. And the statue, I did remember, of
I thought
course.
that was probably the most clever, maybe the most clever thing in the whole series.
Yeah.
I thought the idea of having him in front of our face that entire time
Yeah.
and us having no idea that that was him and then revealing that he's been there the whole time and
Yeah.
she's just been biting, like, she didn't need to wake him up before then
Right.
because she's waiting to the
As soon as
machine
she
getting
said,
turned
like,
on.
"Where's your father's not here. He will be." It's like, damn it. I
Uh-huh.
really should have. I really should have guessed. Like, maybe that's actually him. Like
I
they,
thought that he
you
will be meant,
preserved.
but see, the problem with that is if you
It could
don't
be read
know
either way.
the stuff on Europa is a flashback, right? You
Yeah,
think, because that's what we said
he's
at the
gonna travel
time,
there.
he's going to travel there. She's going to
Yeah,
rescue him. We saw him make the message
save
with
me,
the satellite.
daughter, which you were right
Yeah,
about.
yeah. So we saw that happening, but the idea that he will be, meaning he's physically here, he's not technically unfrozen yet because it's not time yet. Anyway, I thought that was
Yeah,
that was super smart and really well done.
yeah,
Super cool. And even that line where when Lori was like, he looks old, and she's like, he is old. And it's like, yeah, because that's him.
yeah. Right. They didn't just make a statue of the old version. Like
Yeah.
it's just that's just
Yeah.
how he looked when they
That's
put the
him.
stuff on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was super well done. That was probably the best moment
Yeah.
in terms of the plotting.
Oh, and we also found out another one of your answers. I feel like most of your answers were right. Which is that PD is Lube Man. They revealed
Oh
that on
yeah.
the PDpedia
Yeah. Yeah. I assume that would.
entry. So,
Yeah. Who
oh,
else
and
was
the
it gonna
other
be?
thing. Sorry, go ahead.
Who else was it gonna be?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It was inevitable. Um, so one other thing, last episode, I guess there was an extra scene at the end
Yeah.
that we didn't talk about, and
Yes, we missed that.
honestly, I have yet to watch it.
You haven't seen
Um,
it?
no, I haven't. I'm just realizing I never got around to it. I know what happened in it. I heard it described, and I saw the clip from it in the previously on here, but that's all I've
Okay.
seen. I when I heard about it, my first reaction was, well, that doesn't sound like it matters.
Which is
And
why it was at the end.
exactly. And yeah, looking at this episode, I'm like, yeah, it kind of doesn't matter. I mean, it's fine. I guess it's a clue about what's going on in that world. Like, because it was a little confusing with like that the interview helped with this too. Like when they had the trial and then like the prosecutor Crookshanks like winks at him before
Mm-hmm.
she gives her big speech, and it's like, I guess the point was he wrote the speech. Like he gave them these roles to play, and that's supposed to be part of his like entertainment or whatever, that they
Wait, why do
are
you say that?
adversaries for him. That this was something I read in the interview.
Oh.
Like this whole speech that she gives,
Mm-hmm.
like prosecuting him, like he wrote, and that's why she winks at him. It's like, this is your thing.
That's weird.
Yeah, yeah. But like the whole, like he was in on the whole thing the whole time. Like he set it up. He set up the world that way. You know,
Who?
Ozymandias.
Like what way?
He set up the warden. He set
He
up
set up the
like
warden,
the
yeah.
trial. He set up the servants to do what they are doing. Like basically, like everything they were doing was control. Even though it appeared like they were being,
Mm-hmm.
antagonistic, like he was actually
Wait, but I mean,
in
he
control the whole
was
time.
being held against his will by the
Well,
warden.
yeah, but like by his own
He
design. He
requested
he
to.
wanted it that way. Yeah, exactly. Which is like a weird reveal. It's not really a prison. Like he made a prison for himself.
Mm-hmm. Much like Dr. Manhattan made his own reality to live
Yeah.
in for a while. With various limitations. That's interesting, but it makes me really
And then he gets
not
bored
understand.
with it.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is he makes this thing, but he's bored with it, and I guess he's making it because he's bored in general.
Yeah.
Um, but I did like that line when he's like, "Why did you make me wear a mask?" And he's like, "The mask makes people cruel." I thought that was pretty
Mhm.
effective. He
Yeah,
needed him to be
yeah.
his adversary, so that was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, tying into the theme.
I also thought he'd be like, "And why did you make me grow this mustache?" Um,
Mustaches make people crueler.
so you'd have something evil to twirl. Um, okay, all right, all right. Yeah, I haven't read all the interviews about the season or the pilot, the finale yet. Only seen a couple things, but so the PDpedia thing about Loopman. What did he say? Was he just like, I needed to follow people, or
I'm
did he
not going to be a
explain?
good source on this because I didn't read it super carefully, but um here's my recapitulation. This would be like when I used to read Google News and have no idea what's going on. So like basically um I guess he went rogue and he gets like fired from the FBI, and I guess they
When?
find the off screen. Clearly. That's what's implied by the PDpedia.
Okay.
It's like an order to have him arrested because he's gone rogue, and they like raid his where he's staying, his hotel room or something, and like they find a giant vat of canola oil or something. So that's the reveal that he's
Canola
yeah, I think
oil.
they said it was canola oil.
So we don't get it from his perspective, from PD's
No,
perspective.
he doesn't talk about it. It's really just revealed from the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, his name is Dale PD, which I thought, obviously Dale Cooper, it must be their inspiration.
Hmm. Oh yeah,
Uh,
that makes sense.
yeah, I totally makes
Yeah.
sense. He's like
Yeah.
he's a complete, yeah, uh,
Wow. Sort of a younger, naive, more naive, like
yeah,
Cooper figure.
a
Yeah, that's
weirder,
interesting.
more off-putting, less
Yeah.
charming.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Coming into a new town for an FBI investigation.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah. Okay. So, like, here's another thing that bothered me a bit about the plotting.
yeah.
Like, the cavalry are just like easily defeated. It's like whatever. Um, and then Ozymandias drops some frozen squids on Lady
Hmm.
True. But what that means is that like Laurie Blake and Angela and even Dr. Manhattan and like a lot of other characters are just like kind of sitting around, like they don't really get to do much. Like it
Hmm.
just kind of felt like they were a bit marginalized at the end. Laurie's just like following around Ozymandias,
Hmm.
and Looking Glass is there to just like, what does this do? And it's just
Hmm.
like an audience surrogate role. It's just like it felt like they most of them got marginalized. Like the only I guess that's why like they spent a whole season like explaining where he came from and why he's here, because like he's gonna be the one to save the day. But yeah, it was just I was disappointed that the plot was simplified to such an extent that like a lot of characters just didn't get much to do. You know, it felt like they were just like running around and,
Mm-hmm.
um, following,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I think that's
Uh,
fair.
so yeah, I was just a little let down by that. I wanted them to have a more active role and like what happened at the end. It was just like,
Mm-hmm.
well, luckily Mr. Squidman came through again. Like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah, and like it was only because Dr. Manhattan was able to warp them out of there.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. So that's Doctor Manhattan's big contribution.
yeah. And somebody realized Ozymandias is like, well, if I drop frozen squids, you know, that'll
Yeah,
destroy the machine, which is a really weird way to deal with that situation. Um, but yeah, yeah, super, super weird. It was also weird when he was like, when's the last time squid activity happened over Tulsa? Like, does it matter in this moment? Is
hmm,
someone's gonna be like, wait a minute,
yeah,
this squid drop isn't random.
yeah,
Therefore, like, come on.
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought that was a
That's
weird line.
very weird. I agree.
Uh, yeah, I agree. There's episodes like that with Lost. There's finale episodes where some
Oh,
certain
I
characters
know.
just
No, they had
completely
similar
like,
struggles. Any show with a large
yeah,
cast, it's like it's
yeah,
really hard to find like something interesting for all the characters to do. Like some of them are going to be following, blah blah
yeah.
blah. I do think like Lost, and they kind of had that strategy here. But like Lost would have this group, you go over there, you go over here, you go over here,
Hmm.
and that could spread out, the activity a bit more. And they did kind of have that, but it just kind of seemed like at ground zero, like Lady True was running the show, and at the other place, Ozymandias was running the show, and that was like kind of it.
Yeah, the other characters didn't have anything to do, and
Yeah, there
yeah,
wasn't
there
like
was.
a secondary mission or something else to, I don't know.
Well, I mean, Looking Glass had to turn the temperature down on the squid machine, so that was one contribution.
Yeah, yeah, okay. That's true.
And
Yeah,
Laurie Blake made a couple of snide comments, so
yeah,
he obviously
yeah,
wasn't.
yeah. That's
That reminds me of I was reading a thing about the finale and this idea.
Oh, you were right
Laurie
about Looking
Blake's.
Glass too, by the way. I just want to throw that in. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh,
Being undercover with the mask, like you
oh, yeah,
called
yeah,
that. You
yeah,
were so right about that. I knew you
yeah,
were before the episode, but just saying.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Uh, the never apologize for telling me I'm right. It's totally fine. We'll stop the show for that. Um, uh, I was gonna say something about Laurie Blake. So the idea that the comedian is her dad,
Hmm.
I remembered that, and then I'm like, is that why she's so quippy? Is that
Yeah,
why her
maybe.
character is written that way with all these quips because they're trying to get across that her dad was the comedian?
Yeah, maybe. That's
Yeah, I just thought,
interesting.
yeah, I
I didn't
thought
really
like,
think
oh,
about that.
okay. I didn't think about what motivated her to be that way, but she was
Yeah,
so that way all the time that I'm like, oh, okay,
right.
maybe the motivation is, her this quippiness that he had or something.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'll buy that.
genetics. See.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. Well, you want to get? I think overall, I think we're on the same page. I think we thought of, we have the
Yeah.
pretty similar reactions to this. Uh, Good but not great.
Yeah.
Really worth watching first season.
Oh
I
yeah,
hope
yeah.
I hope they do a season 2 because I think Angela with Dr. Manhattan's powers is completely uncharted territory.
True.
What How is it going to respond to the powers? What powers will she have or not have? Will she have them all at once or grow into them? Who's going to come after her? Finding out she's got them. What does she do with them? I mean,
Hmm.
how the fact that she can change the world so drastically is really incredible. So, that's and, it goes to that thing about like, well, this is why Lady True shouldn't have the power, right? Like anyone who asks for them shouldn't have them. Anyone who seeks them shouldn't have them. So Angela never wanted them,
Yeah.
therefore she's a big good custodian for them. Um, but what is it? How is it going to affect her? I also thought the egg reveal. I was thinking about the carton of eggs she smashed, but I thought the egg might have been genetic and that they had sex and she was pregnant. That's the way he
Ah,
transferred powers.
yeah, that would make
Uh,
sense.
their way is more thematic and less
Mm-hmm.
gross,
Right.
but I also feel like she's gonna be pregnant next season. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the sex scene was there for a reason.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that
And I
definitely
do
happened.
wonder if there'd be a reveal where the beginning of the next episode, it picks up from her about to walk on water, and then she steps on the water and she falls face first into the water and it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
work. And it's like, oh, it was just a regular egg, like nothing special.
Mm-hmm.
And then she starts to feel sick. She gets a pregnancy test. She realizes she's pregnant. And
Mm-hmm.
then slowly, maybe she starts manifesting powers over the pregnancy.
Yeah.
That is maybe a take I'd go for, where you could have it both ways. Where you could be like, "Oh no, sorry, audience, she's not getting the powers," but then
Right.
like, yeah, she's getting the powers,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
like in a different way, like and I don't know if that means the baby would have the power, and if
Mm-hmm.
she once she gives birth, she doesn't have them anymore, because that actually
Mm-hmm.
be a good storyline too, right? Of like, what happens if a kid had Doctor Manhattan's powers?
Mm-hmm.
You
Oh
know, that's a
God.
whole season you could
That's a
do.
Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Mommy, I exist in multiple planes of reality at the same time. I also want my binky.
Make your bed.
I made my bed and then I unmade it molecularly. Isn't that a show you want to see?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Oh man. I made my bed and also life on Europa. You're like, what's gonna happen to those clones? They're just gonna
They're just
what?
there. They're just gonna, I don't even know what, just live for the rest of eternity, not knowing what to do with themselves. I have no idea. Will they evolve?
What are they, human beings?
Yeah.
That's basically this predicament we're in, I guess.
Yeah.
Why should they be any different?
Yeah. It's true.
All right, you want to get on this podcast episode thing?
Let's do the podcast episode audio blog thing.
My blog. All right, everybody, get your HBO Go player streaming, or now maybe your HBO Now.
Yeah, it could be. Could be.
However you HBO/Go now. Let's see how they fly.
Sounds good. I'm ready.
All right. What do I do? A countdown? Five,
Count down.
4, 3, 2. Watchmen. Previously on Watchmen. I'm on the verge.
My life's work is taking my Dr. Manhattan's
Tell
powers.
me what the clock does. No, it's probably the best exchange ever. Balance means we have all the power.
Yeah, that's what you call balance.
I do love the idea of someone trying to take Manhattan's powers. It's a great idea. Like for a
Yeah.
character to try. But isn't it only already happening because we didn't stop them?
I know. It's that all that shit, it seems circular to me.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you should have a better reason where it's like, no, I have to do this because
Yeah.
a reason I have, not just like, oh, it's already happening.
Mm-hmm.
HBO.
HBO. It doesn't mean that you can't change the future.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Or
Yeah,
does
it
it?
shouldn't.
Whatever
Maybe it
happens,
does. Are they
happened.
doing that?
I think whatever happened happened because it's already happening.
Yeah, I guess that's what he's saying. Back to that
But
again.
but that means you can make independent, unique, random choices, yet you already made the choice.
Yeah, whatever you
So
choose is going to be what
yeah,
already
yeah.
happened.
whether you get new information about the future or not, that has already somehow already been factored into the future, even though you
Yeah.
haven't made those choices yet, which
Right.
define the future. It's fun.
This really reminds me of Dharma, by the way.
This was so Dharma with the guys, and I know there's a reason why like they're Asian, but there's just something about that that made me remember of Marvin Candle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, if it's so Dharma. Oh, even this whole thing.
Oh,
The other thing that's
yeah.
Dharma is like the 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 people who work there are just working there. Like
Hmm.
they're not invested in this
Yeah. It's just a
then.
job. They
It's
don't
just a
care.
job, people. Like, yeah. So, I had already guessed that True was his daughter, so I already knew what
Yep.
was happening here.
Yep.
Uh and this is such a Dharma computer.
Yep. It
Like
really is. Yeah. Yeah. This is Dharma overload stuff here.
yeah. Walt, is that you? And then Dad, I was talking to some woman who says she's getting sperm. So I didn't understand why he had all these samples. I like the
Yeah.
reveal later that he's like, I've never actually had sex with a woman, but
Hmm.
like, I didn't understand why he had all these samples,
I don't either.
and I would have loved
I
something.
don't think they explained it.
Yeah,
Feels like a contrivance.
I love that lotion is good enough.
I know. It's actually fine. You never
No
noticed.
one's gonna be like, wait a minute, that's lotion.
Yeah. It's such chaos.
Yep. This photograph of Alexander the Great is really well done. I thought it was a good choice for the scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really makes a statement. This is also Dharma too. I know
Yep.
that's like just this like here's the tech, random tech we use for this like thing.
Yeah.
The other thing I think I didn't get from this season was really the connection between the mother or True's mother and the daughter slash mother
Right.
clone, and then what's really happening there. Like, she's got this idea that I love, like, I'm gonna define my destiny, right, by like literally put a Alexander the Great, one of the great destiny definers, and by like capitalizing on her situation right here with
Right.
access to like this genetic material that's going to make her daughter something special, whatever that
Right.
might mean.
Right.
So I love that idea, but I didn't really feel like we got like the last thing that would have connected that idea, right? Like, is this what she wanted? Like, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, and I guess the fact that we could get that answer from her daughter in a way is
Right.
what I want to see. Like,
Yeah.
like, okay, daughter, this is what I thought your future would be like. I wanted you to like sort of become a villain. I don't know. Like,
Hmm. Yeah. Is that what you really wanted?
mm-hmm. I would have loved to have been able to watch this scene not knowing that that was what she was here to do. Just be like, you're my dad. But
Right.
that's my fault, not theirs. Um
True.
Lady True. I do like her acting style here. She's really coming across younger and more naive
It's
and
very different. Yeah.
yeah.
You're right. Flattery will get you
Oh,
everywhere.
exactly. I'm the one person telling you the one thing you want someone to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm British inexplicably.
I mean, I don't know what accent that is. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't either.
he's British by his very essence of being,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
don't
No, I
know.
don't think he's doing his full British accent though. I think he's
No,
trying to do an American accent,
I
but
just mean Jeremy Irons is British.
yeah. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
the essence of British in the
Oh,
best
I
possible
agree.
way.
I agree. But it reminds me of how like Saeed liked tea too. And it's like he
Yeah,
wasn't British, but
yeah.
it felt like they
You
knew
could tell he spent
somehow.
some time there. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was nice to know that this whole thing was automated. So when he was on
Hmm.
Europa, it could run by
Clarify
itself.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did have that question. It's very much like Lost, where like, you get to tick off which questions get answered by the finale.
Hmm.
Like, did they talk about this? Oh, here it
True.
goes. Check that off the list.
Yeah.
Which does beg the question: why didn't he? I think you mentioned that before, right? Why
Yeah.
didn't he ever think to take his power?
Right.
He had the forethought to make a machine that could make Dr. Manhattan forget his life,
Hmm.
give him amnesia.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
You're
he didn't
right.
think like, oh, I could take his power.
How about just, yeah,
Yeah.
a hotline to Dr. Manhattan? That's ridiculous.
Oh man, I missed that. I caught that as a like a joke, but not like
Hmm.
that's what she did.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm. Easy peasy. I always wonder what if she wasn't so specific about this? Like that specificity was so important.
Hmm.
What if she was like, in about 5 years?
Right.
But I did love that, showing his character that he's smart enough to remember this and calculate it exactly. The music here is very like upbeat,
Hmm.
like a Christmas special.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we're talking about like rescuing like the heart of the spirit of Christmas or something.
Yeah, you're
You
right.
know?
Well, it's in Antarctica. There's like a winter
Yeah, there's
theme.
something happening here where it's like, come on, I know Santa Claus isn't real, but I have a
But
machine
if
that
you
will.
believe, maybe
Yeah,
he will be.
exactly. Yeah, he's like jolly old Saint Nick, and she's trying to get him
Hmm.
back into the game or
You're
something.
right. You're right. That is what's happening. Yeah. He's like Santa
Yeah. What do
Claus.
you know about Christmas? Well, my father knew everything about it. What? There is no Mrs. Claus. Yeah, I think it's the music just really making this happen here.
Definitely.
And like she's wearing white and like she looks like an elf. Uh it's a whole thing. Numbers. I love that. Completely went the other direction. He actually does anything pretty well. So many people
Hmm.
fell on that and they say anything. That's my tell for when someone's doing like an American accent. Like,
Yeah.
can they get it right? Classic Lost.
Yeah, it really is. Cut to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. This was cool. He's figured out exactly when this is going to happen, which means yeah, like you were saying, he's this is all designed in a way. He's still in control. But he plays it like, he narrowly escapes
Hmm.
the torturous prison.
Yeah, yeah. I think that makes the drama of this a bit weird, and I feel like on a rewatch, like this stuff is gonna have a
Yeah,
problem.
this is the Dougie stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's the
Yeah.
Dougie. You're right.
Yeah. Now, this is the thing I didn't understand is she told him when the satellite was gonna. Is that supposed to be the satellite? Because the
I
thing I
don't
didn't
think
understand.
that's the saddle. Is that the
Well, see,
satellite?
well, that's what I'm saying
It didn't
because
look like
she
it.
told him when a satellite was going to be in
So I thought
orbit.
like the point was the satellite was there to see the
Yeah,
message, and
but
then she
but
sent
this
a
is my
spacecraft.
problem. How did he know when the satellite was going to be there? I'm sorry, not the spacecraft was going to be there. How does he calculated this moment here? He
Oh
just looked at his
yeah,
watch. So that's
yeah.
why I'm thinking like how that's the part I don't get unless this
Uh,
is also the satellite.
uh. Good point.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just looking at his watch.
Because how would he know like how long it would take her to manufacture a ship, how long the ship would take to get when it would
Yeah.
launch, how it would get in orbit? You know what I
Nah, he
mean?
shouldn't
Like,
know that. You're right.
yeah. So that's why I didn't get like, are they just conflating the two and we're not supposed to think
It
about it?
does feel that way. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's not, she said, in exactly this time I'll send a satellite, and exactly 6 months later, a ship
Hmm.
will arrive.
Right, right.
But this idea of the warden and then the prisoner, is interesting in the context of Lost, because in a way, the whole you can't leave is
Hmm.
like this mental prison
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you
you're
create
right.
yourself, which is what he
Yeah.
did here physically, sort of.
Yeah, that's true. I guess they had to get a bullet catch in
Yeah,
before the end,
yeah.
since that's like a thing he does.
Mm-hmm.
Good to know the reflexes are still good, even though
He's
he's a
got
bit
him.
older.
Yeah.
Still got it.
I won't let you go because you told me not to let you go.
Yeah,
Is that it,
I
basically?
think so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. I think they'll kind of explain that here at the end. Oh, stabbed him with a horseshoe. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's weird.
Yep.
I didn't know they were sharp.
Anything sharp enough if he's quick enough to catch a bullet, he's got some velocity in those hands.
Yeah, fair enough.
There's also like a religious biblical thing happening here.
Yeah.
The the disciple asking, "Why did you make me suffer?
Mm-hmm.
Why do bad things happen to good people?"
Yeah.
And the thing here that like no matter what you do, no matter how devoted you are, your creator doesn't give a shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and that was similar to Prometheus. That thing was in Prometheus too, and that's a thing Ridley Scott likes to do, that thing of meeting your maker and it being a mistake.
Yeah.
It looks like Lindelof likes that idea too. Because yeah,
Definitely.
that's there in Prometheus again, where like meeting the engineers is a mistake. They don't care that you
Yeah.
traveled from your planet all the way here. Like you're still a peon.
Right.
So that's what's weird about this is it's got this sweet quality to it, but it's completely lost on him.
Yeah.
But it's also what he wants, but he doesn't care about it.
Right.
But it's the best thing that'll ever happen to him, but he also hates it.
Yeah.
Like even this moment, right? You want like okay, at the last will he connect to them and have some empathy, like and it's still like no.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just ready to leave.
Because the alternate, the more normal version of the story would be at a certain point he realizes their humanity and validates it.
Yeah.
At a certain point he gives them a little crumb and says, "Yeah, it was all horrible with you guys. Well, except for the memories,
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Yeah.
something to that they could, have sustenance on for the rest of their lives.
Right.
But no, it's you don't get anything.
Just like, no, I want to
No,
leave now and I
bye."
never want to see you again. Okay, bye.
And out. Yeah. I love his costume now. I love that color. It's vibrant.
Yeah, it is.
Save me, daughter.
There's the reveal.
I did like to see the bubble. It was nice to see what the bubble looked like and that it I don't know, just what exactly that paradise looked like versus the rest of the planet.
Yeah.
I'm confused though why NASA hasn't discovered it yet. Maybe Lady True bought NASA.
Yeah, is NASA still a thing? Yeah, I don't know that. Yeah, it's a good question.
So it's right about here that I realized what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I was like, why does he look like a toy action figure or
Mm-hmm.
like a statue or like a oh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's genius though. It's a great move. It's so cool. I've never seen it done before. It's the whole, Han Solo and Carbonite thing, but as
Mm-hmm.
a mystery plot point or something.
Yeah, yeah. Hiding in plain sight.
Yeah. This is also like Dharma again.
Yep.
I do love Beyond. She's so interesting. She's such a weirdo.
Yeah, I agree. I do kind of wish they had made a better connection with the mother character in the flashback.
Hmm.
I think there was something to flesh out there that they didn't quite do
Yeah.
because like they have other things to
Hmm.
do.
I think they needed one more episode.
Yeah.
I think they needed 10.
Yeah.
Because, like, after this realization, we get it. Cool. She figured it out. That's nice. That's great. But, like, now we need the next leg of that, right? We
Yeah,
don't
and
get
there's really
anything
nothing
after that.
more.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
problem.
that's pretty much the end.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like it doesn't matter since they
Yeah.
do nothing with it.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm
Now,
kind of
what I would
disappointed.
love to see in a season 2 or 3 is, Lady Two's dead, but then Beyond does the same thing to her and
Oh
then
God.
clones her and is raising her daughter.
Oh man. Wow.
Yeah. Wouldn't that's the natural
So
progression, right?
strange. No, you're right. I agree. I agree.
Because Lady True knows that there's a chance she could die, and she's all megalomaniacs like this want to live forever.
Yeah.
So you know there's a scene where, dear Beyond, if I
Yeah.
ever die, here's the button you press to resurrect me. I've figured it all
Uh,
out. It's all
yeah.
automated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the same way that Ozymandias had a closet full of his legacy, so to speak,
Right.
I could totally see Lady True having a closet full of clone babies.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Sent isn't the right word. You asked to go. I mean, it just makes it
Yeah.
seem like it was by force, but it really wasn't.
How does she know that he was sent there by Dr. Manhattan?
Um, I don't know. Because Dr. Manhattan wasn't there, like maybe she assumed that's the only person who could have sent him there. I don't know.
Hmm. He just said, who else could have sit in there? Now, the thing I didn't like about this was in the previous scene when he says, you didn't recognize, you didn't know my mother left because she was just a
Mhm.
cleaning woman. And then he goes, she wasn't just a cleaning woman. And that's a moment that ordinarily he say something nice and how much she made an impact on him, but he
Yeah.
didn't. She didn't
No.
make an impact on him at all. Yet in this scene, they want us to believe he recognizes the mother in Beyond's
Yeah.
face.
I love that she wears the same glasses.
That's
Like
super
that's like
cool.
genetic somehow.
Well, and I love that it explains why she wears those glasses because they
Yeah.
stand out for her age, and now
Yeah.
it just makes sense. But I just thought it was weird that they wanted to have their cake and eat it too, and give him the credit for seeing that that's the mother inside of her, in her facial features. But
Mhm.
yet you just told us that he didn't. She never made an impact on him.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So I
Yeah.
didn't really
That's kind
understand
of a
how we were supposed to
problem.
reconcile that.
Yeah.
It was cool that Lady True called it, that she would, do that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, here's something I don't get. Why does the finale set please take place here? Is it just because it's in front of the theater and that's where the show starts? Because like I didn't understand all this. Like setting up out here, and then they teleport the white supremacist and Doctor Manhattan here, and then the Millennium Clock, like where it is, isn't where it's going to be activated. The ball has to
Mhm.
come over here. I just thought it was really strange that like everything was here. It didn't feel organic.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, why didn't she build a warehouse where this would all take place inside of, and it would
Yeah.
be obscured from sight? Like,
Yeah, it seems like they wanted to circle back and they wanted it to be near the theater and the Tulsa thing from the beginning.
yeah. Now, why does he have that response to Ozymandias? Isn't he like a criminal? Didn't he kill three
Yeah.
million? Or no, no, okay, no, that's
I
right.
guess people don't know
People
that.
don't know that, so they like him
Yeah.
as being what?
If he being famous for being in the Watchmen, I
Okay,
guess.
okay. I love that description because it's way more fitting for Ozymandias. It's like his version of walking in the jungle.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like thematically he was right.
Yeah, thematically he was right, but it's like, no, you were wrong on the. Here it is.
The ball of power.
Yeah, what Millennium Ball, the Millennium
Millennium
Sphere,
Ball.
I
Yeah. The whole thing was just a tower to hold the ball, I
it was just a
guess.
ball tower.
Yeah. The ball's doing everything.
Oh, is this the ball dropping like the New Year? Is it is there any connection there?
Oh, maybe.
A tower that drops a ball? Millennium, you know?
Yeah.
It tells time. This is so weird. Like, I see a ball in the sky. The world is over. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a callback to the comic, but I'm not sure I really buy it in the moment. I do think
yeah,
saying that and using the horror music is great, but
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know if the story really earned it.
yeah.
That's my only problem with
I
that.
think it worked though when I was originally watching it. It did work on me, but now when I'm watching it, it's like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like he could tell he's a senator.
Mhm. Yeah. Sit in a chair and quip. That's your job.
Yeah, that's literally all she has to do for later. The entire rest of the show. Okay, remember when Keen was wearing a mask so that the cabinet
Yeah,
didn't know who
don't
he
even bring
was?
that up. It's bad.
What's
They don't want to talk about
happening?
that anymore. Shh.
Yeah, you're right.
God.
They hope you don't remember.
Yeah.
I wonder if something just happened in the script or the directing of that episode, and it fudged it wrong or something because it didn't
Yeah.
doesn't add up.
Nah, it really doesn't. They don't give a shit.
Stay cool.
Stay cool.
I thought he should have said, "Call me Looking Glass, or I leave you here."
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they could have figured out who the cage was for if they got like one more second of like,
Mm-hmm.
well, a cage is to hold something in.
Right.
What would be held in here? And all these like fluorescent tubes. I thought they got away with the production design being like a steel cage with some fluorescent tubes. And we're like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a cage that can hold the Dr. Manhattan. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. They did explain the watch batteries are used in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
thing. Come on, you want to be a blue fuck.
Yeah, I didn't get that. Like, why do you, where's the animosity coming from?
Yeah, like he didn't do shit.
He didn't do
Like I don't
anything.
understand.
Yeah.
Like, cause he zapped away that guy on the White Knight. Like, is he that bitter
He didn't
about
even
that?
kill that guy. No,
I
I think
know they came to kill
yeah,
them.
they're
Like,
just making him the villain and it's coming off poor.
it's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a waste of a character. They really did nothing with that. I'm
Yeah.
disappointed.
Yeah.
Time for a speech.
Speech while he strips. I did appreciate the forethought in his costuming when he's going to become Dr. Manhattan that he's like, well, clearly I can't wear clothes. So
Right.
I thought that was so weird. He's like, well, once I turn into him, I'm going to be like basically naked. So I got to take my
Mhm.
suit off. Okay. I just enjoyed the fact that there was like like he had already thought it through.
Yeah, I agree. Makes sense.
Well, it just is weird because to me, I would think, oh, I'll just turn to Dr. Manhattan. But like, if I'm wearing clothes, I'll still have clothes on. Versus like somehow I have to be
Yeah.
naked because of Dr. Manhattan,
Right. Right.
which I guess is like since we know about Cal and stuff, I guess we have a different perspective than he does.
Yeah, that's true. He acknowledged that the plan of the cavalry was half baked, which I thought was a writer moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like bringing in Lori Blake too was like never really made sense.
Yep. Yep.
Like, why? So she could sit in a chair and quip now? Like, what is the
Mm-hmm.
point?
Yeah. She actually didn't do anything at all.
Yeah,
Like, she didn't really push Angela in any way. She
no,
didn't figure anything out that was that important.
no.
Uh, it's like, yeah, she's really just there because of who she is, but not for what she does.
Hmm.
Like, it's nice, but I don't care about that callback, you know. But that's why she's there, you know. It's
Hmm.
like so weird. Little boy blue. You know what he's like? He's like Negan. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Where he's just
you're
there to
right.
like pontificate and be charming.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, there's the watch battery answer.
Yeah. I want to know how they know he can't get out of that cage. You know, I could understand Lady True building that. I don't understand how they built it.
Yeah.
Like it'd be different. They said, you know, we stole the plans from True Technologies, you know, or something, because we
Hmm.
know they stole their gear here, right? The power
Right.
generator. So it'd be like, yeah, we got this
Yeah.
cage from her. I thought there should have been a different word than overkill. I thought it should have been something about like um uh gentlemanly or something, you know, or like
Hmm.
something to do with southern like quaintness that he would be sort of worried about. What would the neighbors think? You know, that kind of idea.
Right, right.
This also reminds me of Leftovers with Lori's Machine.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
is it Lori? That's not the right
Nora.
one. Nora's Machine, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what happens when you turn the machine on? Is it what you think? So my friend at work was talking about this, and he said this was an interesting moment with Angela because this is completely opposite of her character. What her character would normally do would be to shoot up the
Right.
place. But the
Yeah.
fact that she's not doing that is not only showing her character growth in this moment, but like shows that it she realizes the gravity of the situation,
Right.
which I thought was an interesting point. I also think it's contrivance that she doesn't shoot up the place because they want the rest of this to play out the way they want it to play
Yeah,
out.
it's tough. It's tough. No, I get the logic though. I mean, that
Yeah.
works for me, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
But I still wish she could have
Did he
done
call? He
something,
called her a
even if it
black
wasn't.
bitch, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I thought that line again. I thought like I get why they have his dialogue like this, but it just is coming off really contrived and forced.
Yeah.
Uh, through like the same way we were just talking about when he called Dr. Manhattan. What did he
Yeah. You
say? I got
blue
you for.
fuck.
Yeah, it's just like I get it, but I don't buy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to be like the mask is off. This is how he really is, I guess.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it
yeah.
just
You're
he
right.
turned into a generic villain. Like
Yeah.
it's like, eh.
So why did this happen? Why was True's plan to teleport not only Dr. Manhattan in the cage, but all the surrounding people to the square? Like this was her plan. This is what I don't get.
It's a weird plan.
It'd be
I
different if
agree.
she just expected to get Doctor Manhattan, you know. But
Uh-huh.
and the rest of you came, fine. I'll kill you now. But like, no, this was the plan.
Yeah.
But I was expecting everything else here. But
Yeah.
you. So that was the exchange, I guess, of their
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, that clarifies what that
Yeah,
point
but how
was.
did they come to that deal? Is what I want to know. How did he figure out that that's what she wanted?
Yeah, that's all off screen. I have no idea.
You gotta know she wants Doctor Manhattan's powers to know that she cares
Right.
about your secret of who he
That's
is.
true. That is a question they don't answer.
I feel like there's a TV show with the three of them like on a spaceship.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think
There's
it'd
so
have to be
like
a comedy.
yeah, yeah. It's like when they get warped back to his lab. I felt like that's a
Hmm.
TV show.
It is. It really is.
And like Looking Glass is always like, "What's this do?" You know,
Yep.
and like he
Yep.
presses
Like
the
a
wrong
super
button.
old school show.
Yeah, like he presses the wrong button and like a
Hmm.
gas
Don't touch
main
that.
breaks. Exactly. Yeah, you've seen the show. That's the thermobaric combobulator. Yeah, it's yeah, it's called like Three's a Crowd or something. Like
Yeah.
this is what I didn't get. It didn't seem like she expected him to either be in there or to be a puddle. I didn't get that part.
Yeah.
And see, that was wrong. He did see you coming. So she was wrong about that. Because he's got the rest of this planned out. So he did see her coming, right?
Wait, who are you talking about?
Dr. Manhattan, she says the Calvary's
Oh.
plan was the only thing that kept Dr. Manhattan from seeing me coming.
Oh,
But he
okay.
did see
Okay.
her coming.
Okay. Did
Because
he?
he's got
Wait,
the
why do you say
egg
that?
ready. He's got the
Because he's
egg
got
ready
the
for
egg.
Angela.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
He's seen all past all this.
Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Like he would have seen this moment where she's clearly the villain.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Unless like he can't because he's in the box. Like, is it like that weird thing, that box that you know, where like
Mm-hmm.
he kept the little
They haven't
device where you
mentioned
couldn't see it?
tachyons, but maybe that's supposed to be a thing. Yeah,
Why I don't really
yeah,
believe that. I'm just trying to think of what they could possibly say.
yeah. He might have said something like that, where he's like, "I can't see beyond something," or
Mhm.
that might have been a line.
Yeah.
So this was weird. I mean, I guess I don't care. And I feel like maybe I should care that all of these people die. Like,
Yeah, I didn't really care either. This felt perfunctory. Like this
what?
plotline needs to be over now.
It also was weird how they like that was a weird thing. First of all, why are they lasers? And then like it just was a weird like way to kill them, like a pre-planned way to kill them all off. Like that's your plan? They'll just be all in one corner and you'll use like
Yeah,
12 lasers to zap them? Okay.
yeah, very efficient,
Yeah.
and yeah, just get this over with. It does seem fairly arbitrary.
There's only one thing in my office, and that's a squid machine. Oh, maybe these are the lines. Yeah, where he's like going crazy in this cage. She just really wanted one.
Yeah, you're right. So disappointed.
Yeah, no, this isn't she. Yeah, she wanted her dad there at least.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised he couldn't teleport himself to the blood thing somehow, but all right.
Mhm.
It was also weird to me that this version of Dr. Manhattan is sort of different than the other ones we've seen. And that also was a little weird to me.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. It's almost like he became a hybrid from Battlestar Galactica.
Mm-hmm.
He sort of like
But
spaces out.
yeah, but he's even different now in the cage versus than before when he was like just awoken,
No,
like
I that's what I'm talking about. Just this part. The
yeah,
earlier
yeah,
part was
yeah,
different.
yeah. Also, wouldn't you have a record or no?
He really should. He's like hitting it. Like
That's
I
the
guess
kind
it's
of
been a
machines they
while.
like on in the Lindelof world. It's like
Yeah.
they're big and they're high tech, but you need to hit them sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. They're a little clunky.
Yeah, which was interesting at one point, and then was completely
Mhm.
not interesting ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the TV show.
Yep.
Like he's trying to be captain of the ship, and I didn't understand what from what perspective that those lines of dialogue were coming from. I didn't understand if those are his past like things
Mhm.
he said in the past, or was he jumping into other people, or like,
Right. Yeah, I don't know either. I assumed
or
he
was it
was it was from his
the
past.
or was it from the cadaver cow's life or something? Like I didn't
The what? What?
the guy that Cal was the Dr. Manhattan was before he was Cal, the
Oh,
body that
oh,
they
oh, oh,
got,
oh, oh.
like the memories
Right.
from the body.
Right. Was that guy in the military? Did they say that?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's
All
what I
right.
was kind of thinking they were hinting at.
Okay.
Is he was losing the difference between the two or something, or see, and here's the real guy, I think. I don't know. I don't know why he looks like that now.
They took
Is he
away his
putting
blueness.
or did
Yeah, I
or
don't
did
know. This is
he
very lost.
yeah, it's very lost.
It seems
That was
arbitrary that he would turn
it
back
was
into that.
yeah. That was like Juliet hitting the bomb.
Yeah.
So this is like Juliet and Sawyer reversed.
Yeah, you're right.
22? I thought you said 42. Oh no, I made a calamity.
Can't you follow a simple instruction?
I love when he has those lines. They're great. He's also like the professor on Futurama, you
Mm-hmm.
know. It's just that archetype of the mad scientist, you know.
Yeah.
The other thing that they didn't know, which I thought they could have maybe known, is this whole idea, and it's weird because it's about everyone, and everybody getting his power, but like the idea that he can actually put his power in an object someone could eat is way
Mm-hmm.
easier than what the cavalry tried to do and what she's trying to do, but
Right.
like they don't know that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a weird thing that they know that we can take his power, but they don't know there's a really easy way to
They
do
have
it.
a really elaborate way of doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's like you guys know this crazy, because the concept that you can take his power is to me not intuitive at all.
No, no, I
uh
agree.
so
It's
the
not
fact that they think
obvious.
that is interesting, and then they make a
Yeah.
plan for it, but then like the fact that he can put his power in an object is also not intuitive, but it like makes
Yeah.
sense, so it's interesting. Beyond is the best. With her glasses and her beret, like it's just too
Yeah.
much. It's too much. It's like the thing with Carl on Walking Dead where he wears the hat, except I don't hate her for it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like
I
endearing.
agree. Yeah, it's totally
And
different.
there's at least a like a character reason, like she's dressing like a 60-year-old woman,
Right.
basically.
Yeah, yeah.
So it
Yeah.
works on that level. Now, how did this work?
I
How was
forgot about
Blake
that.
how
Yeah,
was Blake calling this Dream
that's
Machine?
weird. Yeah, they like tapped in. I don't know. It's really strange. I forgot about that.
This is like a moment as if we didn't know who was on the phone. Like if it was, it's like it should have
Mm-hmm.
been John on the phone or Cal. Like the way they
Yeah,
played that moment, right?
I agree.
And we already know what's coming from the sky. I just feel like there's some drama here we're missing because we're way ahead of what's happening
Yeah,
versus the characters.
yeah, yeah.
Like
That's the problem with following them.
yeah, because we know exactly what's gonna happen, and
Yeah.
that was pretty extreme. Like a squid did that.
Yeah, yeah.
Splattering continuing, says the captions. This is just such a crazy idea as like a weapon.
It is really strange. It seems a little inconsistent how much damage it does.
Yeah.
Like, it goes through Lady
I
True's hand, but the rest of them are just like sitting
yeah.
in it, like, and they're fine.
Yeah, it gets a little consistent on what's actually happening. Maybe she had a big one.
And then, like, this thing's enough. It's
Yeah.
like, well, it's not that bad.
Well, that
Like,
thing's
and
pretty sturdy,
isn't there some
but
climate control, like climate allowance on this ball thing? Like, what if it's, hails or something? Like,
yeah, I agree.
and it's just like, that's all you needed. Put like a bunch of those, stack them on top. It would have been fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's such an easy fix. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just,
not the
it's
end of the
weird.
world. It's not the end of the world.
All right. Well, that's over. This is like
She literally ran out of the story.
Shifting
She ran out
gears.
of the storyline into this
Yep.
storyline.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Wow.
I'm done with that. And
Yep.
then like the
And
kids are
done.
here, and it's just
Yeah,
like,
it's all
okay.
good. It's all good. It's like
Yeah.
all my problems from the previous season were outside.
Yep. And in
And it's just
here,
over.
we're done with that.
Yeah, here's your cast for season 2.
Yeah. I guess they wanted to build up to this moment after the nostalgia thing.
I think it's tough that she has to play so many things here, and also what's overriding is in getting lost is her sadness of losing Cal,
Right.
and that's supposed to be here, but everything else in the rest of the season is also here, and
Yeah.
also the turn to what's coming. So it's a lot that's supposed to be we're supposed to be dealing with.
Yeah. It's true.
I do want to say for the record though that if he would have told her all of this stuff in the beginning, it would have made her head explode.
Yeah. It's a fair point. It's pretty crazy.
It actually got to that level. Yeah. I think they had a line like that we talked over at certain point in
Oh,
this
making the deal with
episode.
her was his idea. That's the answer about Lady True. That's how he knew. Your
Oh, there you
question from
go.
earlier.
There you go.
Yeah. So Dr. Manhattan just told him to do that.
Okay, because he
So
saw
he
it.
did know about Lady True,
Mm-hmm.
if that was his idea.
Oh yeah, so he literally saw her
He
coming because
he
he
yeah.
orchestrated it.
He planted, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Boom, your head explodes. Nope, you're fine. Why are you so old? I also thought this was nice to recontextualize the opening of the show from his
Yeah,
point of view.
I agree. I think my only problem with this is it doesn't feel connected with what just happened.
Yeah.
The scene itself is totally fine. It just
Mm-hmm.
feels like it's coming from a different place from
I
where the
also
show
like
just was.
that tie in the reveal of why he covered his face is by
Yeah,
instinct.
yeah.
This is the scene where I think the audience should be taking away something about masks and
Mm-hmm.
anger and generational violence. And I don't
Yeah,
know what I'm supposed to be taking away, but I feel like this is where it's supposed to be.
I
And
agree.
I get that what's on the surface, right? You can't heal
Hmm.
in a mask and like all that's
Yeah,
working. But the larger ideas in the show I feel like are trying to be communicated, but I don't really know. Like what's the takeaway besides that? Like oh, breaking some eggs.
eggs.
Why do you
Notice
mention
I
eggs?
said eggs. He'd like to talk about eggs.
Well, the time's not right.
Do you have any egg memories?
I love that. Any egg? Yeah, think about eggs.
Search your
Examine your
memory.
memory. Yeah. and then back to the hotel with you. That was a weird, just for a couple nights. It's like, okay, I'm gonna open my
Yeah,
heart, but just a little bit, not
not too
completely.
much. It's not
Yeah,
like blank check, you can stay forever.
yeah.
I'm not there, which is kind of interesting. I'm kind of
Mm-hmm.
surprised she's not there.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's Angela.
Yeah, fair enough. She can change, but not like 180.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not a
Oh,
Hallmark movie. And there's explanation for that.
yep.
It's like, all right, we'll get the fuck out. Yeah, I thought this was a weird turn.
I agree.
Like, you killed a bunch of people. Like, nobody even knows there's a culprit for that crime. So
Right.
it's not like she's like, everyone's been trying to find out who did it.
Hmm.
So that was weird. So that's the only reason he has that now is for this
Yeah.
in-game thing. I thought there was
Yeah.
gonna be more on it.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the line. This was gonna mention earlier. That reminds me of the button in Lost.
Definitely.
Like, that was what the audience thought about the button. It's like you keep
Hmm.
saying the world will end, but huh?
I don't really believe it.
Yeah. What change did you do, Lori? Clank.
This is like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is silly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is completely comedy.
It's a
Like,
goofy moment to end on.
yeah,
I,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The music choices are very Americana, like very old classical.
Yeah. One thing I was thinking about is I feel like the fact that Angela and Cal didn't have kids like dodges the issue of Dr. Manhattan having kids. Like, I feel like it makes more sense to me now why they're like adopting kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an extra
Well,
thing.
because they're gonna do his kid
Season
later,
2,
season 2 or 3. Yeah.
it's coming, but not this season.
Not this season, no.
Too early.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
You
we're
know,
gonna
Topher's gonna hate when there's a new baby. That's a whole
totally.
drama episode by itself. So Red and what's her name was still
Beyond Red
alive.
Scare and Pirate Jenny.
Yeah, there's like this triplet thing happening where people are like tripling up. There's like groups of
Yeah.
threes here. It's like Angela, Will, and the kids count as a third.
Mhm.
So then
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
got Adrian, Looking Glass, and Blake.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then Red Scare and Beyond, and what's her name?
Pirate Jenny.
Pirate Ginny. Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah, so they see this. I guess that's a moment.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you guys didn't know that? Okay, cool.
Yeah, they had no idea. This explains a lot.
That's why you're so cool. Yeah, I guess that's the other thing the music is helping to do is telegraph the positive ending that's coming
Yeah,
in the midst of the tragedy.
right. Yeah, the waffles. I should have known the waffles was a thing. It was so
Uh-huh.
random.
So the egg thing made me think. I forgot that was the other beautiful moment that they set up exactly about. They had the conversation in the flashback episode about his power in the egg, and I thought like that's another thing, like the Adrian statue just
Mm-hmm.
sitting right there.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was going to be that she's pregnant and he transferred his power through his legacy, to
Right.
coin a phrase, and and we would see it manifest with the eggs that are on the ground. So when she cleans them up, like she'll move her hand and it'll like molecularly rematerialize or something into whole eggs. That's how
Yeah.
my brain works. That's the show I want to see.
Wow.
They're always way more subtle than I ever want them to be.
Yeah. Someday we should see your version of the show
Yeah,
so we can
I
see
want her
these
to be.
like crazy things happening.
Yeah, that's what I want. And she's like,
The
"How is this
fuck?
possible?" And she's got Manhattan fetus inside of her, like giving her powers. Like that's the show I want. But yeah, right here, I thought like she'd be moving her hands and they would just like rematerialize.
Oh man.
But
Wow.
instead, we get something, way more practical and
Yeah.
straightforward. And I think I was reading an interview that Lindelof was talking about this thing that he loves to talk about, right? That I didn't really catch with this moment, but the part of what makes this special is the improbability that there'd be only one egg that didn't break,
Mm-hmm.
and that adds to the meaning of this egg being here, which I didn't really catch before. Because I thought, oh, it didn't break because he did his thing and he's
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Manhattan and it's special, right? But like that thing we see in Lindelof's work where the improbability of something makes people give it a certain meaning.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The numbers, that whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
Where clearly it's special because it didn't break. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. 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 I mean, that whole thing is definitely classic. Like, yeah. I buy into
Mm-hmm.
that completely.
Yeah. I also was confused on what it would take for her to get the power from the egg. I thought she'd have to eat the shell also. But
Mm,
again, their version way more practical
yeah.
and straightforward. Because I'm like, can she put it in a blender? Would a
Hmm.
blender blend all the shell? Like, you don't want the crunch. I mean,
Can you
that's
cook it?
gross.
Like raw
I
egg?
thought, yeah, I agree. Can you cook it? Does the chemical reaction change the power inside so you don't want to cook
Yeah.
it? But I thought her version was nice and simple. We can
Yeah.
assume we don't need to eat the shell.
Right.
Also, like, how long before the power takes effect does she have to digest
It's
it?
definitely like lost when they like drink the water and or
Yeah,
drink the wine or whatever it was.
yeah,
And yeah. Like, and then it's like, do you feel anything?
yeah. Uh huh. Like, what if it takes 24 hours?
Yeah. Yeah. Also, like, was Dr. Manhattan known for walking on the water? I guess I don't know the
So
comics that
he
well.
did all this. I thought this was set up well too. Remember the previous scene when Cal wakes up? He's walking on water that
Yeah,
whole
that's
episode,
true. They were out here.
and
Yeah.
and he made a comment. I think he made a comment about he was walking on water to help himself think or figure out the next move, which this ties into too.
Yeah.
So it
It's a
made
good
sense that
point.
this is why she would use this as the test.
Yeah. All right.
All
Well,
right,
there we are.
we're here and
The
you're here.
big
And we're all here
moment.
together.
We finally made it. There's not an extra scene, is there?
I did check this
There
time.
better not be. I'll be so irritated.
Ozymandias shows up back on Europa going, "It's boring, but it's what I like."
I decided to come back.
Oh man. All right.
You
So
people are the
yeah.
best family I'll ever have.
Exactly. I didn't realize what I had until I didn't have it. so to speak. Yeah, Ozymandias, what a show, man. It's I think if the show had been less um interesting in the beginning,
Yeah,
like dealing with concepts and subject matter I didn't expect and less weighty, I
yeah,
think I the show could have been more successful and where it ended up.
right,
But I think,
yeah,
I could see a lesser version of this show being just pretty good to watch. Like,
right.
yeah, it's fun. Like Battlestar Galactica for most of the time, right? Like, it's
Hmm.
pretty good to watch. I really like this. This is cool.
Yeah,
I'd watch more. Not
yeah,
blowing my mind, but cool. But I think like the front beginning of it was front loaded in a way that made it bigger than just the story it was telling. And I feel
right.
like if that's my biggest criticism is they didn't really land that second that thing in by the end
Yeah,
in a congruent way. And so I felt like that, which it's a weird catch 22 of like, you know, s- you know, overachieving basically the problems with overachieving.
hmm, yeah, yeah. I mean, I appreciate that they tried to do, more with it than just kind of a basic comic book sci-fi riff on Watchmen, I think it's interesting, but yeah, I mean, it's hard, I think it's hard to do that really well, especially in this context. I'm surprised it worked at all, really. Um,
Well, yeah.
so I appreciate the early episodes were like really good. I really liked them a lot.
Hmm.
And I still like them. I'm trying to get over this thing where if the ending lets me down, then I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Like, it was really good. I really enjoyed all those moments of build up and building a mystery and the imagination of what might be possible.
Hmm.
That was great. And honestly, the rest of it wasn't bad either. It just didn't live up to the huge expectations I had from how good it was early on. So,
Yeah.
it ended up being a decent, ending, but it started off great. And yeah, I mean, I would easily recommend it. Despite all that, like, so much better than I expected
Yep.
from the beginning. So, I can't really complain. I just,
I think it
I
still
wanted it to
gets.
blow my mind at the end. I didn't quite get there.
Yeah, yeah. I did want. I wanted something. I mean, I was gonna say I wanted something that would completely ship, shift, ship. Sorry, shift. I want both words actually, shape and shift. That's why I can't. I couldn't
Ah,
find the right
okay.
word. I
Shift.
wanted to shift and shape
Oh, okay.
the
Separately.
separately and together the what the show was about, and I think Angela getting his powers does that. It's just we didn't get the real final definitive proof, so it's a little underwhelming on that side.
Right.
But I think I
Yeah.
wanted something like my crackpot theory was the Millennium Clock was really the Century Clock, but Millennium sounded better. And when you turn
Right.
it on, it'll
Yeah.
take them all back to 100 years ago, and they're gonna like stop the Tulsa riots or
Right,
something
right, right.
to stop
I
the
forgot about
cavalry
that.
from rising up or whatever. That's how my brain
Yeah.
works. That's the
Yeah.
show I want. And that didn't happen. But
Right.
but I think that idea that's still really big and gives them a lot of runway. I think they did manage to get toward close to. So I think that's cool. And but yeah, I think I have to like remember great how much I loved the beginning of the show.
Yeah,
I think I was a
yeah.
little let down by some of the middle episodes, and like,
Yeah, the
oh
middle episodes I was starting to feel let down, and I was hoping
yeah,
that they would pull it back at
yeah,
the
you go,
end.
oh, this is just a TV show.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not
Yeah.
like manna from the gods.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, some of that middle stuff wasn't that great. Also, what's her name? Uh, Forgetting her name. She was really on one episode. The woman who Paula Malcolmson.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I
Yeah.
thought she'd be back.
She's not back. They really didn't do that. She had
Like,
one thing to do, and that was it.
so let's talk about Wade. So, like, what?
Wade was dry. I feel like it's questionable to spend a whole episode on Wade if like you have not like I don't know. I
It
that feels like a
introduces
detour to me.
it introduces Keen is leading the cavalry, which is
True.
important plot point.
Though we
But I
find that
thought,
out, and we could have found that out when Lori gets captured. If they
yeah,
wanted to delay it a little more.
yeah, it's true. But I think we also see them planning the portal thing, which I thought was
Right.
nicely done. That the thing we knew about portals was it, it throws something to where the portal is, right? It expels
Right.
something basically.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that they used it in the end the opposite way by sucking in something. So that
Right.
kept me from thinking, well, because I was like, oh, what are they gonna do with the portal? They're gonna drop a bomb. They're gonna drop like just like
Mhm.
the squid was dropped. But the
Yeah.
idea that there's two parts to teleportation. There's the first part where you take the thing. So
Mhm.
that's the part that they used to capture Dr. Manhattan. I didn't. I like that. When I realized that, I was like, oh, okay, I should have thought about that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so the whole thing with Wade, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it really worked completely.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought it was a little cumbersome how they got him into like having the woman trick him into coming, but it was like a double blind trick or something
Mhm.
was like needless.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know that, yeah, a lot of that served much of a purpose. Like the main thing I feel like we get out of that is, for that final plot point of like, I've got it on tape, what you say it or disc or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So now we can like arrest
But
you.
also so does the government. So, you know what I mean? Like Keen
Yeah,
took it from the government, so it's not
yeah, it's
it
true.
plays like the beat we've seen before, but it's like in reality it's like it's not the
Yeah.
smoking gun,
Well,
but
we can take
okay.
it to the media. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the plan is, but yeah, it seems like that's the uh, big upshot because otherwise, like the Keen reveal didn't really matter at that point, and I already suspected him just from the showdown at the funeral. Like
Mhm.
to me, I was, but
So that means so what does that mean for the funeral? Like what did they expect to happen?
I don't even know.
If he really had the bomb and it was really tied to his heart,
Hmm.
and one of the cops could have shot
Were
and
they
now
just
they
gonna like stage a kidnapping of Keen?
well, why have
Uh,
real explosives?
um,
Besides for the fact that the audience will think it's real
he
when
knew.
Angela
Yeah,
shoots.
that's. He knew it wasn't gonna work. Yeah, that's. Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that works. I mean, the Keen stuff, he even admitted it too, and it's like writers love this shit. This is like writer 101. Like if you're gonna do something that's like a little bit like a
Yeah.
mistake or questionable or doesn't work, just call it out.
Just
If
call it
you
out.
call it out, then it's a free pass. You can
Yeah.
do whatever you
Well, and
want.
it
It
helps
doesn't count anymore.
because if the audience might just be subconsciously knowing it doesn't work, they might not even be. But then if you
Hmm.
call it out, it's like, oh, that's that thing that was bothering me. Okay,
Hmm.
yeah. Or it's conscious, and you're like, this isn't working. And the character goes, yeah, we had a half baked
It
idea.
wasn't really all that good. Yeah, it's
Yeah, and
like,
it's like you. But the problem with that is you only are saying it's not good because you couldn't make it better, which is just
hmm,
admitting defeat.
right.
It's like so it's like you get credit, but also
Yeah.
bad
I
scripting.
I don't want to give them free pass for that, but they treat it like that.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
"Oh no, look, I said this is a contrived plot, so it's
uh huh,
fine." It's like, yeah.
yeah. I guess I overreacted,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird move. So if I had to compare it to Twin Peaks, which is a weird thing to do, but I do feel like the perfunctory nature of the showdown, like, did remind me of Twin Peaks. Like, after all that buildup, it just felt a bit
Yeah,
like,
it
can
gets
we just get this
mechanical. Yeah,
over with?
yeah.
Like, move on, But then, so it's the follow up where I think Twin Peaks like ended on a note that was a bit more interesting to me, a bit more mysterious, I guess. Um, and I agree that like there's a logic and it works like what they did here, but I guess just because like the literal action of the moment, like will she walk on the water or not? Will the foot stop or not? Like is so close
Will
to
the
the
foot
Inception
stop?
thing that I
Mhm.
can't I don't know, it just felt like, I've seen that before. I don't know, even though Twin Peaks also ends on an open-ended note, it isn't literally the same, like, will this thing happen or not, cut to black,
Mhm.
trick. So yeah, anyway, and also it's a lot shorter after the showdown. Like there's a whole episode in Twin Peaks after the showdown.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was a great left turn because it's like, okay, so the showdown doesn't matter, but like, what are we doing now? Like, it just takes you
Mhm.
into this crazy territory
The
where you
other
don't
thing
know
that's
what's going on anymore.
the other thing that's better about the Twin Peaks, we're talking about season 3 finale,
Yeah,
is that the characters, we actually get to see the characters know what's going on. We just
right,
don't know. And
right,
that's actually
right,
better than the Angela version where we don't know her response.
right,
And then in Inception, I think we that's a cool thing about Inception is the character, the test of the reality is separated from the character.
right.
And
Yeah, he
so
doesn't even watch it. He just like
yeah, so
leaves.
we're left to figure out for ourselves, but he's actually content to make up his own mind about it,
Yeah,
which is a little bit better and different. And I
yeah,
think the Angela version here is we only have the test,
right.
and so that makes it way there's less it's less interesting in a way
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we're
yeah.
just seeing the test play out. So it's yeah, it's
I
kind of
guess
interesting to
I
compare
guess my
those.
flip side of that would be that I always felt about Inception that because he doesn't care, in a way it doesn't even matter.
Well, yes,
And
that's what
so
that that also is what helps it you not have to feel like you need to find the right answer,
yeah,
because the only person it matters to is the character.
right.
And so where I feel like this thing, like it matters to me if she has the power or not.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it feels like there's some import to whether or not like,
Yeah.
I don't know, more so in that way I like it better than Inception.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I do get your point that like it is more straightforward in a way,
Mhm.
I guess. Because the idea of like spinning it and then leaving is like it's a huge. I mean, but that
It's
was
because
part of
it's
his
a
character growth, and this isn't
but
really like
yeah,
her.
exactly.
Her thing isn't the same as what his thing was.
Yeah, exactly. Him walking away from the test was part of his growth, and
Yeah.
but that's what's cool is it leaves the audience with the question, and he's not left with the question, which
Right.
is just a cool kind of idea to
Yeah.
separate the two.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think yeah, it works overall. I hope they come up with an idea for season 2, but it feels like a good one season. I
Yeah.
think I'd be happy if
Miniseries
if there,
type thing.
yeah, if there wasn't any more, I think I could live with that.
Yeah.
I think it
Yeah,
did.
I mean, I think leftovers kind of were at its welcome, and I think if
Mhm.
they don't have a good idea for season two, then they shouldn't just
Yeah,
come up with one to come up with one. So I would
yeah.
say they should do it if they come up with a good idea for it, and otherwise leave it alone.
Well, that's very practical.
It seems obvious, but
Yeah,
that would be my preference. Like I'm fine if they have no ideas for season two. It's like don't just do it because like people want season two. I feel like shows
yeah.
die like that all the time.
Yeah, I don't think Lindelof would do it unless he had an
Oh, I
idea.
agree. Yeah,
But
I think at this point that's not happening. Luckily, we're not
yeah.
in those like Stranger to Strangeland days. Like, oh, I gotta churn it out. Who are we gonna flashback on this
I
week?
love that. That was the episode where they're like, "Listen, if we don't get an end date, you're gonna get more
It's
episodes like Stranger
all
to
gonna be
Strangeland." They're like,
like
"Oh, really? Oh, okay. Now we get it. How about 3 more seasons and you're done? Cool."
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I really feel like the the Wade episode is the closest thing to Stranger in a Strange Land for the season, where it's like
Yeah.
it's just a bit of a detour and it seems
Mm-hmm.
kind of inconsequential, and it seems like you could just take it out and you wouldn't lose that much.
Yep.
Like you could have just like whittled it down to they come to attack him at his house.
Mm-hmm. Well, the other thing you get is the backstory of the squid attack, which
Yeah, that's
which
true.
I don't know if that's
Maybe the
necessary, but it
audience
was
needs that if they're not familiar with the comics or the movie. Or
yeah, it was
whatever.
definitely
It's
effective.
actually not in the movie, so I shouldn't say that. It's important if they've seen the movie because
Yeah.
it's not in it.
Yeah, I think it's effective world building, and you get a lot of interesting
Hmm.
things about the characters and the whole concept of people who are suffering from the attack, trauma and stuff like that. That's all super interesting. It didn't matter for the plot, but it was definitely interesting.
Sure, sure.
So that was
Yeah, but
nice,
it feels a bit
but
like a B side, you know. It's just it
oh,
seems
it's
like
a W side.
extra material. Like that it doesn't really belong in the season, but it does flesh out the world. That's a fair
Yeah.
point. I
Yeah.
agree.
Um
And it's helpful to me because I haven't read the comics, and
mhm.
so I don't mind if they want to explain to me like what I need to know. Like,
Yeah.
please do that. Thank you. This world is not like second nature to me, and the stuff that
Mhm.
happens in it is not obvious. So,
I I thought by the end they really managed to sort of trivialize the mask wearing, like in terms of
mhm.
like the police wearing masks and the cavalry
Yeah,
wearing masks. And I thought like it
yeah,
was so interesting in the beginning, and by the end it was just like,
whatever.
well, we wanted a race war and we
Hmm.
wanted to put them in
So we'll put
masks
on a
and
mask, and that well, it wasn't a very
uh,
good plan,
yeah,
but it's
exactly.
what
It's
we
like
had.
they they were hiding, so we were hiding, and then now we all hiding, and what? And it was like, oh, it was so cool in the beginning, and now like
Yeah.
it's like nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that well thought out. It feels like callback to the comics, but
Mhm.
yeah, it wasn't incorporated that well into what the plot ended up being for the season.
Yeah.
I think they could have had the cops not wearing masks and it wouldn't have made that big of a difference. I mean, they'd have to get rid of this like white knight thing. I know there's like linchpins of the plot that depend on that,
Mhm.
but
Well, the thing that I think was missing from the depiction of the police um is how it connects to our world and like what's happening with the current issues of police
mhm,
brutality, and like how does vigilantism in this world, which is like in one sense, well, with Angela specifically and some of the officers, like they're vigilantes
yeah,
going above and beyond the law, but also
yeah.
on the payroll of the law in some respect. And then you have the real vigilantes who aren't cops, and then you have the cops who are wearing masks like vigilantes. And like, how does all of that relate to issues we're dealing with? And even
Yeah.
so Ozymandias is the line of the clone. I put you in a mask because it makes you cruel, right? Okay,
Mhm.
and now we have these cops. But it's like we didn't
Yeah.
really explore, unless Angela is supposed to be the poster child for this,
Yeah,
we
and the
didn't
hooded justice
explore
stuff. I mean, I
what
feel
it
like that's
means.
the closest we get.
But the problem is their vengeance was against the bad people, right?
Right.
So if the idea of wearing a mask makes you cruel, well, I guess it made them cruel towards the people who deserve cruelty. Is that all
Right.
right? Like, I don't
See,
know.
yeah, I mean, I guess I like or I think the idea can work where let's like frame it in the most acceptable way and then see if we see anything wrong with it, you know? And I
Hmm.
do feel like the show it kind of came down on the idea that, being a vigilante is bad because it's an unhealthy expression of pain or anger or grief or trauma or something like
Hmm.
that. Like, that's why. But what they didn't really do is talk about, but why is it bad as an action? Like, aside from whatever
Hmm.
the personal
Because
psychology of the
the
vigilante person is, you know?
yeah, because the alternative to being a vigilante is trusting in the law.
Right.
And they didn't really get into, from Will, he did trust in the law. He became a cop, and then he saw
Right.
that they were corrupt. They were literally corrupted from the
Yeah.
inside by this supremacy group. So he couldn't trust in the law and therefore had to become a vigilante to
Right.
protect people. And I felt like that's a valid case.
Yeah, yeah, I
And
agree.
that's what I feel like the show is saying. There's no circumstances where you should be a vigilante, and it's like, but what about in this case,
Right.
the case that
Right.
you're sort of making? So
And
what?
I guess that's where it's like, yeah, but it was hiding the pain. It was festering the wounds. It
And that's
was
the other thing they don't get at is then how do you exercise the pain and the wounds if you can't do it wearing a mask?
you take off
The-
the mask to give them some
And
air. No,
and
yeah,
then
there's
do
not really an
what?
answer.
I
Yeah.
guess the answer is whatever they do in season two.
Yeah.
But I felt like that was the thing of like, and I get it from a like therapeutic sense of like, okay, you were ignoring your feelings, and
Yeah.
that's what the mask lets you do. Now you have to address them, but like, what does that look like, and what does that mean, and so and then how does that relate to like what's going on with everything else?
Right.
Uh, but yeah, a lot of interesting ideas for sure. You know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I think they did play around with that, but I think they didn't approach it from um like, yeah, I mean, I think in a uh in the context of the flashback, I think the need for vigilantism is so clear because the law is like failing to do its job. But I feel like a more interesting question is, um, if the law is not inherently corrupt like that,
Mm-hmm.
can vigilante justice still be justified in certain, you know what I mean? Like, where's the line? What does it take for that to be a good thing to do or whatever? Um, I don't think
Yeah.
they really got into that.
No.
It's
I
more
just
about the personal, psychological, emotional effects of doing it rather than about the thing itself.
yeah, maybe that's the idea is if you can't trust in the law and you can't be a vigilante, maybe the only answer is to be Dr. Manhattan. like
Ouch.
like you're inherently limited in either case. Well, how about just having unlimited power?
Hmm.
Maybe that's the only answer.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's all we're left with to explore. It's like, well, what does that really mean?
Right.
Yeah, what a weird. And so it's all basically this is all Dr. Manhattan. Basically, he made this plot happen.
Pretty much.
I,
Yeah.
I I think the other thing I thought was missing was maybe some sense that Dr. Manhattan wanted to die,
Yeah, I agree. I
or or,
agree. It
or,
was
or
like
like that
it
he
has to
knew,
happen, but it's like, yeah, isn't
yeah,
it
or that
more
he
you
knew
want
that
this to
like
happen?
that his experience being Cal was going to be the last thing he needed. And they could have worked this in, I think, fairly well. Like his whole thing was he wanted to create life, right? That was his first mission as a
Right.
child. The Lord and Lady of the Manor told him to create a life in a beautiful place, and so he wants to do his entire life, and he becomes this all powerful deity, and so he's able to do it, but it's unsatisfying, and he leaves it.
Right.
And I thought they could have said, well, this was, the second act, basically, when he becomes Cal. That is a new life he's creating. And he lives a life and actually has a completely different set of experiences than he could have had any other way. And I thought maybe that would have been like, cool. Now I've actually done, that's why I can leave this body and leave my existence, is because I actually have achieved the thing that I said I want to do, which was create a life. And this was the life I created with you, Angela. Like that kind of thing, to where
Hmm.
like it becomes a finality that he understood
Yeah.
for his own growth and journey versus just it's inevitable. Like I thought
Yeah.
they could have just had a line like that, and the pieces were already there for it.
Yeah.
That line, like he said, um, that would have been the perfect moment to say it when he's telling it when Angela is next to the cage and he's being sucked away, and she's like, where are you? And he's like, and I'm in every moment we've ever had together.
Hmm.
I finally created a life. Like that would have been the line. And then we
Ah,
understand why he can die in that moment,
right,
you know.
right. Yeah.
A less pithy version. I spent so much time trying to create life, I didn't create a life. Like that kind of, a more pithy version of that idea. Like it was a little bit of a semantics thing. He was focused on like the empirical, like scientific idea of life,
Mm-hmm.
which is not what they meant. Even though it's what it seemed like they meant because they were talking about recreation and birth, right?
Right.
Or reproduction and birth, but like he needed to create the experience of life, uh, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I also feel like, there was potential there. The idea of the character is this like remote, I don't acknowledge the petty concerns of you
Yeah.
humans, blah
Yep.
blah blah. How, like, I don't know, maybe the experience of being Cal for 10 years like
Well, that's what
changed
I'm saying.
him.
That whole thing should have been a part of that too. That's yeah,
Yeah.
where like it's the because that's the thing that always is missing from these like Q type characters, right? Like who are
Yeah.
just omniscient, like they don't care about anything, and so they're not human, so we can't
Right.
understand them. And the
Yeah.
only way they really get to a really good place as a understandable character is when they do find the value in humanity, which is
Right.
why Q is such a great character on Star Trek because he actually is really interested in human beings,
Yeah, yeah,
so much
yeah.
so that he poses as one,
Right.
and like he cares to a degree what happens to them, even though he's like any, but it's because of the unique qualities of human beings, right?
Yeah.
Not every alien he's fascinated with. And so yeah, I
Right.
thought that should have been the whole point of the Cal thing too, like this unforeseen consequence that this person who could like live forever decides after living this life, like that's he got what he needed out of existence now finally, and with all the other circumstances can put that aside and move on or whatever. So yeah, I thought that was a little underwhelming in that respect, that there wasn't some great um summation of his experience that he iterated.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I mean, it's hard to work it in. It's all like happening quickly, and
I
it's
gave you the line. It's one little
action movie
line.
pacing. Just one line would have fixed
Just
that.
yeah, one line. I mean, he could have, like I said, when she's like, "Where are you?" I'm in every moment we've ever spent together. I finally created a life.
Hmm.
Like, boom. That's I think that gets at all those points. You know. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think the Cal thing. I do wish, yeah, I would have. He would have had. It would have been more, yeah, important, or he would have been able to talk about it in a way versus just being like, "Oh, I was Cal for a bit. Who cares?"
Yeah. At the end.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
thought this hybrid thing would have been important too. The fact that he still looks like Cal, I thought,
Right.
like
Whereas
it
it
gives,
kind of seems like a lost contrivance type thing where it's like they just want to use
yeah,
that actor.
yeah. Once they've cast the actor, you can't
Yeah.
uncast the actor.
Like, oh, he's
Um,
stuck that way now. Like they need
yeah,
Alana to
she
save
shows up.
it.
Don't you think if I could look like somebody else, I'd look like somebody else? Yeah.
Yeah, and he turned into normal Cal briefly right at the end. It's like,
Yeah.
what's that about? I don't
What
know.
is that about? I thought that was him sort of saying goodbye to her, as she knew
As she
him,
knew him for the
like him
bulk
using
of the
his
time.
power like one last time to do that.
Yeah.
But it also seemed like it was the real Cal
Mm-hmm. Which is
somehow
confusing because I don't know.
integrated. Yeah,
Yeah.
it seemed like
Who
they were
that
like
is.
integrating the two. I almost feel like, yeah, one more episode and we would have gotten a plot line about the duality of the old Cal and Dr. Manhattan fighting in the same body.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a whole season,
Yeah,
you could do.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's weird.
I'll also point out another huge lost connection because Damon Lindelof wrote Lost.
What?
It's very clear. Cal in the cage, Desmond in the cage.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I mean, if that's not just a
yeah.
complete rip-off plotline, I mean,
You're right. I guess
come
Cal is
on.
the Desmond of
Cal's the
yeah,
he was totally doing
yeah.
the constant thing,
Yeah, he was
you
the
know.
constant character too, of
Yeah,
course. Yeah,
having his
totally.
mind was in different places,
Yep.
and it's the same show, really. I mean, it's really like 50% of the same writing.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of similar plot points grafted on.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
interesting. It's like
Oh,
the
what do we
world is
do?
different, but the story's the
Yeah,
same. It's
yeah.
strange.
Yeah, it's like an anthology or something where it's like the same concept in a different form.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Desmond in the cage. Yeah, Angela is Penny.
yeah.
Like, yeah. Desmond had electromagnetic powers, Dr. Manhattan has
Yeah,
powers.
yeah. Lady True is like Widmore.
Oh, she's so Widmore. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Hey, she has an issue with her daughter. Widmore had an issue with his
Yep,
daughter.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah, we should just point out everything that's somewhere to loss. I think we could get quite a few.
There's a lot. There really is a lot.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, I would even say more so specifically than Leftovers. Like
Hmm.
Leftovers had a lot of thematic elements and a lot of tricks in common with Lost, but in this case it was like
This is
really
plot points. Yeah.
storylines. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. This is devices and storylines and character types
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it
and
seemed a bit
sets and
closer in that way. Yes,
makeup.
that's exactly. Production design,
Yep. Yeah.
props.
Yeah. That could have been the end, right? Is she picks up that egg and it's got a Dharma logo on it.
Yeah,
We go, "Oh
yeah.
shit."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and the whole thing with Dr. Manhattan and Ozymandias and then that Jacob and Man in Black
Yeah, they're sort of
rivalry.
the Jacob
But
and Man
then
in Black
you also
characters.
have the warden and
Right,
Ozymandias having a
right.
prison place that you can't escape. There's a rule that says you can't
Mhm.
escape for some
Yeah.
reason. Um, you know, and yeah, again, I wish Dr. Manhattan had said that he put Ozymandias on there to keep him away from humans, like to protect
Mhm.
them or something. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
like he has good intentions, but that gets people killed or something. And
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird that like he just set that whole thing up. It was the conflict was an illusion the whole time. Like it's just very strange.
huh, well, maybe that's a hint about Jacob and Man in Black. The conflict was an illusion.
I do think that's partially true, so fair point, but
Lady True.
indeed. Oh boy.
That's gonna happen from now to the end of time.
Yeah, you're right. Can't avoid that.
Maybe we'll just talk about things that are never true, and we can avoid that forever. Um, but yeah, overall, I really liked it. A lot of cool ideas, man. I think it definitely captivated my attention and
Yeah.
reminded me how TV can be great.
Yeah.
Um, and it's been a long time since there's been something this interesting and on a real sci-fi level too, not just on a
Yeah.
fantasy or sort of interesting like surreal level, but yeah, with the sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It was pretty leaned pretty heavily into that.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree, yeah. I appreciate that. In a way more than Lost did, I would say. Lost
Mm.
kind of pulled away from the sci-fi at the end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It definitely was like no spaceship from an
It's
alternate dimension.
magic something.
Yeah,
Glowing cave.
yeah. All right. What else?
Uh I don't
Any
know.
other? I mean, bravo to the cast, and crew. I think
Oh
it was a
yeah,
really well
yeah,
made show. I mean,
yeah,
Regina King, of course. This is like
yeah,
she's the king.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, uh, yeah, I complained about wanting her to do more in the final episode, but yeah, compared to, I mean, she was great in Leftovers, but she got way more to do
Mm-hmm.
here than she did in the Leftovers. Especially season 3. It's just like a walk-on cameo.
Mm-hmm.
Um I mean, yeah, they didn't have a clue what to do with those characters after season 2. It was clear. Anyway, um yeah, no, she was great. I liked Louis Gossett Jr. was good.
Yep.
I haven't seen him in anything for I don't
Mm-hmm.
even know how long.
I thought, I'm like, I know Danny Glover auditioned for this part too. There's a universe in which Danny Glover got the role. I know it. I know it.
Yeah. Has Danny Glover played a character like that? I have
He's
this
always playing
I
characters
have
like
this
this.
okay, maybe that's all he plays. So that's why I'm having this memory of Danny Glover playing a character that's like vaguely in that
You're thinking of
vein.
uh what's that show called? That TV, the movie? Pardon me. Excuse me. It's about the telemarketer.
Sorry to bother you.
Sorry to bother you.
Yes, he was in that. You're right.
I
You're
think
right.
that's
And
the
he
character you're
is
thinking
kind of
about.
like that.
Yeah.
That is probably exactly what I was thinking
Yeah, the
of.
old
Yep.
sage. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Let me tell you something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I thought he sold the mystery, and a lot of that was revolving around his character in the early episodes when I was super
Mm-hmm.
excited about things. So
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed that. The whole thing when he was captured in the bakery, and like she
Yeah.
comes back and he's like, I went across the street and got some eggs. And it's like, of course that's a reveal too. Like, god damn
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Fucking egg thing. And like maybe I'm Dr. Manhattan. How do you
Yep.
know? It's
How do
like
you
it's such
know?
a
Yep.
tease. Like now that I know what was really going on there,
Yeah.
like
But also there's a weird
crazy.
asymmetry where like he's saying things that he denies later.
The,
So
oh,
like
don't even
it's
talk
like
about that.
it's
Yeah,
like it's like, oh, I didn't mean literally skeletons in his closet. It's like,
but
but
I
didn't
did
you?
though.
Yeah, you should have.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
It's
Yeah,
like a
I think they kind of flubbed that part and the
it's like
wheelchair
it's like a
too.
magician saying, "Look at me, I'm not doing a magic trick." And then the second part is like, aha, here's my magic trick." And then the third part is like, "I never did a magic trick."
Right.
Wait, but you can't get credit for the first part unless you take credit for the second part. Like,
Right.
which one is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
overall, I
And
thought
like, did he need the wheelchair? Like that whole
he
thing
clearly
was
never
like
needed a
a bit
wheelchair.
muddled.
So why was there a wheelchair?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I thought, and he didn't do anything with the mesmer thing after that one time.
Right, right. That was the
Uh,
one. Yeah.
yeah, I
Just to
thought he
explain
could
that
have
one
been.
plot point. When like I'm sure Lady True would have provided him with any number of people to like
We didn't get the reveal on the elephant.
lift
What
him
the
into. No,
elephant
they didn't
was
tell us
about?
anything about the elephant.
Yeah, which that was
I
weird.
guess that's just like a cheeky thing about elephants and memory, but yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's just a drop thread. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Something else I was gonna mention. Oh, I will say bravo that they actually the line. If I told you everything that's going on, your head would explode or whatever. Like
Hmm.
9.9 times out of 10, that
It
line is never
fails.
true, but
Yeah.
it actually worked.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
Uh,
plot was crazy
what
enough for
not
that to
only
work.
what the plot was, but what Will knew of the plot, which was most of
Yeah.
it. Like he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
correct in all cases, and like
Right.
bravo for that because that's usually never true.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I'm surprised that they sold that because as soon as I heard that, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to believe that later.
Hmm.
No way, ever.
Yeah,
But yeah, strangely, it's like, fair enough.
yeah. No,
Someone
that'll
told me
do
that
it.
shit, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'll do it. Well, and then
Yikes.
the kicker being, and then you'll get his power. Not that Will necessarily knew that, but like, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, but yeah, for the main characters, like I pretty much liked all the actors.
Yep.
The only like whatever characters are the background ones, where they just didn't really get
Yeah,
much to
Pirate
do.
Ginny and Red,
Yeah,
I
Pirate
thought
Jenny and Red
never
Scare.
really found their footing.
No, they seem to have no point other than just to like flesh out the idea of more masked
Hmm.
vigilantes slash undercover cops, whatever you want to call them.
And it didn't make sense why some cops got to
Ugh,
be that way and
yeah,
some cops were in uniform, or were then
yeah,
the detectives could be that way, and the
maybe,
regular cops were.
yeah. That sounds like it could be true.
And I love how like they completely skip over the plot line of like we need a new police chief. Like
Yeah,
Lori comes in and like
yeah,
they're not even trying. A normal show, Angela would there would have been conflict about who's going to get the job,
yeah,
and like
yeah.
Angela should get it, but no, but
Right.
somebody else, but Looking Glass is next in line, or whatever.
Hmm.
Like whatever, they would have had some drama about who is the new police chief.
Yeah,
But like the FBI shows up and they're just like, we don't need a police chief. They just
yeah.
completely don't even deal
This
with
is
that.
fine. We're
Yep,
fine. I'll
it's
just
all
take his
fine.
office. It's a free office,
Hey, it's
and that's
empty
it.
office. You snooze, you lose. But yeah, a lot of crazy stuff. Lady True was overall a really good character. I think she got a little botched at the end when she turned into
Yeah,
a villain.
the end was
Just like
disappointing.
it was a little too quick of a turn.
Yeah,
Um, for how she had been coming off the rest of the time. But I think maybe if we could have figured out she was his daughter earlier,
yeah,
they could have set up some more sinister things with her earlier,
yeah.
so that there's a better gradient or ramp up to where she gets to the
I
end.
agree. I agree. It's an artifact of the way the plot is
Yeah,
constructed that we couldn't know that earlier.
yeah.
So
Because
yeah.
even the previous episode where like she's taking care of Angela.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why? You don't
Yeah.
care about her. You don't,
Yeah.
you're not invested in her.
Right.
Um uh and I also didn't get why or how Lady True knew that the cavalry were going to successfully kidnap Dr. Manhattan, because her plan rested on them successfully kidnapping him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I don't either.
Yeah, I didn't understand how.
Was she spying on them?
Mhm.
Yeah, not clear.
Yeah. Like she knew he wouldn't fight back or would get captured. Like that's what I didn't
Hmm.
really get. Like
Oh
why she
yeah,
so
yeah, that's a good
sure.
point too. Yeah,
Why was she
yeah.
so sure it
I
was
mean,
gonna
I
work?
mean, maybe Dr. Manhattan told Will that. I guess that's always the trump card because that's what they said about the
Told him what? Like,
like why he joined Lady True in the first place. Like told him that he'd get captured.
okay, and then she's like, okay, they're gonna capture him. So then once they have him, I'll get them and him.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. I think it's so like Dr.
okay,
Manhattan is like such an easy plot
yeah,
filler.
he knows he's gonna get captured by
He just
them, so
knows
he yeah,
everything.
that's part of the plan. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Since they revealed like that was how they got connected in the first place, like Will's knowledge of Lady True and his whole participation in that plot like was coming from Dr. Manhattan.
yeah.
And it had a side benefit that he could take down the modern day cavalry, but you know, that wasn't really the main point for Dr. Manhattan, clearly.
Something that got lost, which I just remembered, and now it works for me, is uh, is that Will wasn't just trying to take down, Judd because he was part of the cavalry, but like he wanted to get revenge on the cavalry for destroying his town and his family.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of was lost on me until I just
Yeah.
put that together in my head that that's
Yeah.
why he was willing to go so far and for such a long con, is
Mm-hmm.
that this was about, the whole Tulsa riot, like reckoning that, and
Yeah.
not just his personal, like, I don't like white supremacists or something.
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 Definitely. That is fairly clear. once you know. But yeah, of course, we didn't know the backstory early on, so
Mm-hmm.
we didn't know what was going on. We didn't even know if he did the thing.
Yeah. I don't remember if we mentioned it. I was just thinking about Will's legacy as Hooded Justice and all that stuff, and that line that like when Dr. Manhattan shows up to him in the past, that like uh Dr. Metropolis left or Mr. Metropolis left him that building or that apartment or
Oh yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Hmm.
And I remember thinking how that muddles the
The
whole
relationship, yeah,
the relationship of like
yeah, which was very superficial, seemingly.
yeah, so was that like oh it was deeper or was that it was a
Sorry.
it was a sorry, it was a gesture of contrition, or was it
Yeah.
like a pity thing, or
Right.
like
Right. Not clear.
yeah.
Yeah, that was too. Yeah, that was too breezy. That plot line was like 3 scenes. I mean, they had to get through a lot there
Yeah.
really quickly. Like I said at the time when we watched that episode, I mean that stuff you could do a whole show in that world.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very crazy world that like they just barely touched on
Yeah.
in one episode. I guess yeah, Looking Glass feels ancillary, and that feels like maybe I guess like they wanted to focus on the core things of what matters for like this present day story that they're telling. So I get why they did that, but it just touches on so many things that I think you know yeah, it feels a bit uh I don't know, light at times, and definitely the Captain
Mm-hmm.
Metropolis stuff. They didn't
Captain
really
Metropolis, that's what it
define
is.
that
Maybe there's a
relationship.
prefix.
Uh, the breakup with the wife and how it's like ambiguous, like what it's even about. Like it was strange.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't really say anything about that. It's almost like I don't know. I guess like what it feels like to me. So okay, yeah, I have two thoughts along those lines. So my first thought is I sort of felt like what they wanted to do. So with Hooded Justice, you know, they had this character from the comics who was never the identity was never revealed. So they got the opportunity to like write a backstory for the character, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the problem was that they were stuck with certain things that were plot points from the comic. Like
Yeah.
they wanted to leave that material in as background. So anyway, it just feels to me like that stuff is like artifacts from the comics that maybe doesn't line up as
Mm-hmm.
well or didn't fit in exactly with what they wanted to do with the character. And I kind of feel the same way about Dr. Manhattan, where it feels like they wanted to sort of re cast Dr. Manhattan, like change who Dr. Manhattan was in
Mm-hmm.
a way. They didn't completely do that. They still had to put the old stuff, but I feel like you can feel the pull
Well, they
back
had to
and
because
forth.
he was a character who didn't care about humanity, and so
Yeah,
how do you get him to care about humanity? Where you make him human,
right.
that'll help. But like, I think
Yeah,
it was this weird, strange thing where the only reason he comes to meet Angela is because he's already in love with her, and they've already,
right.
it's this weird thing where it's a this loop, right? Where there's no entry point, and this was, yeah, I don't know how it's we're supposed to think about it for his time, like when he's bombing Vietnam, he's like,
Hmm.
a child will be born here in 20 years who will be
Right.
my wife in the future.
Yeah.
Are we really supposed to think that? Okay. Um
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but yeah, I think overall though, I think it worked, but it's just one of those strange things that I think you're right
Yeah.
that they could only push so far in certain directions.
Yeah. 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 I'm not saying it didn't work. I just feel a bit of tension there
Oh yeah.
between the two, the thing they want to do and the thing they're stuck with from the comic.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just trying to make them like fit. And I think they do a pretty good job, honestly. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like a story that was just organically constructed by itself. You
Yeah.
know, it feels like what it is, which is like
Mm-hmm.
another story grafted onto a pre-existing one.
All right. Cool. Well, yeah, lots of thoughts. Trying to
Many
think of
thoughts.
many thoughts. Yeah, it's a little sad to let it go.
It
Watchmen's over.
is.
It's a
It's
nice
always
ride.
sad when a
Yeah.
good show ends.
How much are you interested to rewatch Leftovers on a scale of 1 to 12?
that that's an interesting question. Um, right now or ever?
Ha! I guess right
I
now. Well,
I
how do you
have
feel
to
about it?
specify.
How do you feel about it now? No, no, no. Oh,
Right
you mean
now.
watching it right now? You mean like
Uh,
I
yeah,
mean
yeah,
I mean
yeah.
like if it no, just like how strong of an
Someday,
impulse. Yeah, yeah. How strong is your impulse to watch it is the question.
like okay. I mean, right now it's not super high,
Okay.
I would say. But I do think that a day could come where I would want to watch it again.
Okay. If it was like a
You
3.
know, eventually. I mean, I don't know about season 3. I guess I would
Mhm.
watch it if I got all the way through season 2, but
Mhm.
um yeah, I could imagine I did rewatch, the first 2 seasons before 3.
Mhm.
And I do think it's a good show, and when I enjoy shows I do like to go back to them eventually, but I feel like it'll probably be, let's see, when did that ended in like 2017. I feel like it took me a couple years to rewatch Twin Peaks again.
Mhm.
Twin Peaks is, maybe a little more rewatchable, but um yeah, I think it might be a couple years before I would want to do that, but I think
Yeah.
it's possible that I would would be into watching it again
Mhm.
eventually. But yeah, it's not I'm not,
Yeah.
it's not something I want to rewatch all the time,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just wondering because yeah, I'm like, do I really want to go back and watch Watchmen? Like, how much do I want to rewatch this season?
Yeah, I do think the rewatch value is a little bit limited by the plotting,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Now the cool thing is like we've doing the commentary, we've watched all of them at least twice,
True.
and I felt like that made me feel like I got a good amount out of all of them. I think if I'd only
Hmm.
seen them once, I'd be way more eager to go back
Right.
and watch the season again.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but I've already seen him twice, and I feel like okay, cool. But I think I'd want to rewatch this before I rewatch Leftovers.
Ah, okay. Okay. Yeah, I that's interesting. I guess I would say season 2 I might rather watch than this.
Hmm.
But I would rather watch this than seasons 1 or 3.
There you go. All right.
I think that's where I would put it. Because I season 2 is great. I know there's actually some problems in season 2, and they totally have a wait episode too.
Hmm.
But um uh but yeah, there's some moments that are just totally amazing, which this had too, but I think, yeah, I think maybe the left turn of the hotel stuff when it was still good.
Yeah.
Forget about the season 3 bullshit. Was really interesting. And I guess maybe I am um slightly inclined towards the mystical over the technology.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just a personal preference. I go for horror, and horror is like primal and pre-technology.
Hmm. Yeah, I think
Though I do like sci-fi, so.
yeah, I think they're both great in their own ways. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things about the leftovers and a
I
lot of
think I
things I
would rewatch
don't
this
want to.
as well eventually, though.
Yeah.
It'll probably take a couple years before I'm ready to
Hmm.
do that.
Yeah. Yeah, TV's strange these days. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna sound like an old man, but I just feel like it was easier to find shows you liked. Um,
Mhm.
Even though there were less shows, somehow
Right.
there were more good ones. I don't know how that can be true. Um,
Mhm.
but I feel like now
Yeah.
best you can kind of hope for is something that's like entertaining.
Right.
But if it's like if it is it really gonna make a mark? Am I really gonna be talking about this 5 years from now? Am I gonna be like, oh, remember that show? Like that kind of level of goodness, I think,
Yeah.
is more rare. And I think Watchmen has that,
Yeah.
where like it definitely left an impression.
Oh, I agree. I
It
agree. Yeah, it's not
definitely,
forgettable.
yeah, it's on the list of really great TV shows.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to go back and watch The Sopranos because that really
I've never
started.
seen The Sopranos. Have you
We
seen
should
it
do
before?
yeah, I watched it when it was on.
You watched it when it was on.
Yeah,
Wow.
I
Mr. Peak
liked it.
TV. Jeez. Am I
I'm
qualified to
I'm
be on this podcast with
uh,
you? Well, I have seen The Wire.
yeah, that balances it out. I haven't seen The Wire.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
trade-off.
uh, but I think maybe we should do a Sopranos commentary series because, or
Okay.
at least the first season. We don't have to
Hmm.
commit to the whole show,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
I
It does
think
go on.
there was something about that show that was different of the times, and I wonder if it if it would feel uniquely different compared to what's happening now
Hmm.
or not. And I have the same feeling about 6 Feet Under. I wonder what that would be like to
Yeah,
rewatch.
I've been wanting to go back and watch that again. I
Yeah.
definitely am planning to do that at some point.
Well,
I'm ready for that. It's been
that'd be
so long.
a great thing for our Patreon.
Hmm. What?
Haven't you heard about Claude and Justin's Patreon?
No, I haven't heard about that.
Well,
Does
go
it
to
exist?
patreon.com/Claude and Justin, which I don't think will work because we don't have anything there. But yeah, if we ever made a Patreon,
That would be the place where it would be if we had it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would totally go there.
Check that out if it's ever there.
Yeah,
And we could do 6 Feet Under or Sopranos or both or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Depending on your
Um,
funding level, we'll do whatever you
yeah,
want.
yeah, exactly.
We're not getting those big time advertisements like we used to on our podcast.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's
Times are
true.
changing. We're not the influencers we used to be, and those sponsorships are drying up. So now we have to go to our bread and butter, the audience,
That's what we need. The
direct to
fans.
consumer.
Listener supported. Come
Because of
on.
you, we make this great programming. So give us your money. Why don't we
Yeah.
have your money yet?
Yeah. Because the Patreon page doesn't work.
Because it's not set up.
That's actually a good reason.
That's a good reason. All right. Well, I hear everyone clamoring for us to make a Patreon. That's what I hear.
The clamber.
The Clambor.
There's a B in there.
All right,
You should
Clambor.
say the clamber.
I thought it was clamor.
Yeah, but I think you spell it with a B, don't you?
I think here's an M.
Clamber.
Oh, there's two words that have a similar context, I think.
Oh, okay.
Because clamor means to really want it, right?
Oh.
Isn't that what that means?
Oh, is there a separate word without a B?
Yeah. What's clamber?
I guess I thought clamber was clamor. They're separate things. Okay.
I
Oh
hope
no, clamor is one who digs for clams. No, clamber is the one you're thinking of.
clamber. Oh, geez. What word are you saying? Spell it.
Oh wait, there's clamor, Clamor. That's what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, got it. Got it. And then there's clamber, Clamber. Okay.
Like,
Sorry.
okay.
Sorry, I'm confused.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, not clamber. That's not the
I'm
word I wanted. I
confused. I
wanted
don't know
clamor.
why. I guess like I thought I don't know what I was yeah. Clamber though, it's a word.
Clamber is a word, and you're right about that. Just back you up on that one. You're completely 100% right that is a word.
To
But
climb awkwardly.
yeah, so that's what I meant, that the listeners were climbing awkwardly for us to do a Patreon. You're right, Justin. Your context clues were correct.
Oh man. Wow. Wow. All right. So
So
many
many people out there
words.
climbing awkwardly.
Okay, no, the loud noise, the outcry, no
Yeah,
B. Okay, yeah. I
yeah.
really thought there was a B. Okay.
There is a B in the other
And the
word.
other word, yeah, it's
Yeah,
just a different word.
it's a different word.
Okay.
Sometimes words are different,
Sometimes words are different, and that's okay.
and that's
That's I
what we've
can
learned about the Watchmen. Is sometimes words are different, right?
Wow, I learned something today. That's great.
Right. Sometimes hero means vigilante.
Mhm. Yeah.
Sometimes justice means corruption. Right? Right? Am I on to something?
Trust in the law until you can't.
Until you can't, because sometimes you can't, especially when they're white supremacists. It really makes it hard to trust in them.
It does.
Yeah. I was wondering, I was trying to think of what if I could pitch Damon Lindelof some ideas for season two, what would I pitch? And one of the things I thought would be cool is if they do a Jordan Peele style thing. Not that he's done this quite yet, but if he keeps making movies and he does this, it'll be a thing he does. Is That's how patterns work. Is every season of Watchmen could be about some social issue. So the first
Oh,
season could be about race or,
okay.
white nationalism or whatever.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
the second season could be about something else, right? That like within the context of this world and like Angela having powers or something, like she has to deal with this thing, because I don't think it can continue to really be about race the way this one was,
Oh, I
because
agree.
they
Yeah,
opened and closed the book on the Tulsa riot, and I think that
yeah,
made sense. But
yeah.
so I was thinking like that would be a pitch I'd have, is like figure out, basically tell the audience that, hey, every season we're gonna the way we tackle the race thing in the first season, we'll tackle something else to that same level of interest, right? And I think
Mhm.
that could be a nice hook,
Yeah,
um, to deal with the world of Watchmen in that context.
yeah. I'll buy that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Thematic approach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think I'd also I want to see Angela with powers. I want to see what my fear is that if we get a second season with Angela with powers, she's just not going to do what I want her to do.
Right.
She's not going to
Yeah.
make all the nukes disappear, right?
Right.
Like this just they're going to pull the reins back
It's gonna be
and
like remember when Bill on True Blood became like Lilith? I was
yes.
like, oh my
Yeah,
god, it's gonna be so and then like he didn't really do
he didn't do
anything and it
anything cuz
didn't
he was too
matter.
he was like too powerful to do anything.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
do anything, Sookie. I'm too powerful.
If I do something, it'll be everything, and this is too many things to do for one vampire.
Yeah, I feel like that's the downside, and that's probably partially why they don't want to do that or
Yeah.
have an idea for how to do that because yeah, it's hard to make that totally satisfying without like seriously committing to like holy shit, she's the most powerful person in the world now.
Mhm.
Go.
Yeah, that's why I think they would start with like the powers manifest over time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
maybe throughout, by the end of the season, it'll be a big climactic thing where she'll finally do whatever the ultimate power is, like
Mhm.
if that's teleporting or matter manipulation or something, or
Yeah.
maybe she'll see into the future. She'll finally, because I doubt she'll have that thing where he's existing in all his time periods
Mhm.
at the same time. Like I don't think they do that right off the bat. Like that's too
Right.
much going on. That's too much
Yeah.
power for a character to have, right? Imagine like Topher, go to bed. No. Well, I know you're gonna go to bed in 4 minutes, so I'm just gonna wait here till you go to bed. It's just like
Okay.
like on a boring, like household level, that kind of that kind of power. What do you want
Yeah.
for breakfast tomorrow? Cereal? No, you don't. You actually got to eat eggs because I made you cereal and then you didn't eat it. Like she's the most annoying mother ever.
Damn it, mom, this sucks.
I can't get away with anything. Anything I get away with, you saw coming, which defeats the point. Yeah. Don't you want a whole season of that?
Yeah. So yeah, another possibility that was thrown out in the interview is that like they hand over the show to someone else, you know. So it's
That's
like
dumb.
they have a season two, but it's not Damon Lindelof. It's like some other crew, you
Yeah,
know.
that's dumb. That's
They come in
horrible.
and
That's horrible idea.
then
Who
it could
pitched
just be
that?
like
Lindelof
completely
said
different
that.
show. Well, yeah, he said like maybe that's the thing they could do if HBO wants to continue it or something.
Oh, I see. HBO has the
Yeah,
option to do that. That's
yeah, yeah,
dumb. That's
yeah.
dumb.
He's
No,
like, I don't
nothing
have
works.
ideas,
Nothing
but
has worked like that. Name a show that has worked like that. Like
yeah,
that's not a
it's
model for a show.
it's usually a really bad sign
Yeah.
when the show
Well, I mean, it's one
runner
thing for
changes.
showrunners to change. It's another thing to say we're changing on purpose as some sort of engine for story. You know what I mean? Like that's
Hmm.
not usually a thing that there's no thing that usually does that. It's not
Yeah,
a model for a show, you know?
yeah,
Yeah, it's weird. So they're totally gonna do it. No.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he doesn't have ideas, but that's when ideas come. As David, I feel like I just quoted David Lynch, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's fine if
Right.
you don't have ideas right now, but if HBO says do a season two, you'll get some ideas.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so if they do that, I mean, I guess we'll come back and see what they're doing.
Yep, yep.
Hopefully, if they could pull off like a leftover season two where it's like even better, that would be awesome.
I think they could actually. I think being freed from the source material even a bit more
Hmm.
uh
Yeah,
could
yeah.
really let them loose in a unique
Yeah, that
way.
was the leftovers thing too. That
Yep.
was when they got beyond the book.
Yep.
It freed them up, definitely made it more interesting. So yeah, that's a good point.
I only make good points. I'm also humble. Um
That's another good point that you
Thank
made.
you. I only make good points. I'm also humble. Who's on first? All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening to this podcast and this series of
Yeah.
episodic TV storytelling, viewing podcast things.
Hmm.
It's been fun.
Blog post, comment section.
Yeah, yeah. Did you link to the forum?
I, I did not link to the forum. Yeah, you have to go through a little bit to get to the forum. I should link to the forum on
Why
that
aren't we
page.
linking to the forum?
It's a little weird that there's no link to the forum. But there is a comment section. No one's used it. I'm not saying you should use it, but you could.
We would
Or
read
you could just go on
comments.
Twitter. We're on Twitter, Mr. Podcast, also Lost Lowdown.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to look into our Lost stuff, we will get back to Lost here at some point soon-ish, I guess, to finish season 6. So that's on the
Yep.
horizon. If
I
you're
think this
into
was a good
Lindelof.
this is a good intro to getting back into Lost. I think
Oh yeah.
it's like it's like a palate cleanser that also sets your palate up for the next taste to come.
Right.
What did
Yeah,
they call
yeah.
what did the French call that?
Amuse bouche.
Okay,
It's
good.
literally amuse mouth.
There it is. We've amused our mouths with a season of Watchmen.
Or maybe aperitif, something like
Yes.
that. Apéro
Hercule Poirot, yes, my favorite detective.
or that. But yeah, I think you're right. That's a good point. It's definitely like on the same wavelength, and
Mhm.
especially with season 6,
Yep.
uh strangely, it's even more Lost than the rest of Lost.
Ugh, ugh, I'm so
Um,
looking forward to season 6.
so
Can't you tell in my voice?
yeah, it's gonna be a
I just
ride.
I literally just had images
Strap
of
in.
Locke sitting down and whittling for 5
Yep,
episodes.
that's gonna happen. A
I'm
lot
thinking
of
about
inertia.
yeah, thinking about like villains in their end game, and he's just like, I'm just a whittling.
I'm just gonna wait here for things to happen.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Not unlike Dr. Manhattan.
It's very true. Yep, yep.
waiting for things to happen.
Loophole plan.
Uh-huh.
Definitely. Yeah.
That's the thing that Man in Black didn't have. He didn't have a backup plan.
True. Yeah.
He wasn't like, but if you kill me, you'll become the monster or something.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like it's got to go somewhere, Jack. And now it's gonna go onto
Hmm.
you. Like that'd been
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. There is a contingent who think that Jack's the smoke monster, but yeah, I don't really believe it.
What did they call themselves, and what's the name of their manifesto? And do they have a Patreon so I can subscribe to their content? This contingent you claim exists.
Yeah, it's probably like three people, but
Okay. Okay. I was gonna say
let's just say I saw it on a forum once. Okay, it
okay, all
was a
right.
while ago.
You didn't see them marching down the street in formation?
No.
Them amassing army of people who think Jack is the smoke monster.
So, yeah. I mean, yeah. All right. I won't go into detail about why they think that. It's probably obvious to you why they think that.
Well,
Since you
feel
just
free to
brought it
tell
up.
me. I mean,
You
but I
just brought
assume,
up the reasoning,
yeah,
basically.
that's basically it. Okay.
But yeah, so like in Across the Sea, when sorry, spoilers for Lost.
Yeah, we're done
Um
talking about Watchmen now. This has become the Lost Slowdown. So, welcome to the Lost Slowdown with
yeah,
Claude and Justin.
just I feel like if you're here, like it's a little weird. But if you haven't seen Lost and you want to like not be spoiled, you can probably just turn it off. We're kind of done with Watchmen, so just
Or after this conversation, we'll have a very important conversation about Watchmen that you miss.
oh, okay.
Our
I
post
thought we were
credits.
done, but maybe we're not.
Hey, it'll be
Um,
like Watchmen with their post credit scene.
you
We'll
just
just
won't know.
we
Yeah,
won't know.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We can have post credits.
And then whatever podcast you listen to that does a review about our podcast will mention that our podcast had a post credits discussion about Watchmen.
So in Across the Sea, when you see the smoke monster get created, right? So
Yep.
uh Jacob throws his brother into the, light cave, right? And the smoke monster comes out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but then what happens to his brother's body? Well, it like appears in this place, like around the area,
Mm-hmm.
outside or whatever. So, what happens with Jack? He goes down the cave, and then like the whatever happens down there, the cork, blah blah blah, yada yada yada,
Mm-hmm.
and then he appears outside the cave in the exact same place where the Man in Black was. His body was, at
Mm-hmm.
least. So anyway, that is the main reason why people think he's the smoke monster.
But was it locked? But the smoke monster wasn't in the cave anymore. It had been released.
Well, maybe it was because when they unplugged the cave, like the Man in Black like lost his powers and he became human, seemingly. So like maybe like that trapped it again, that
Uncorking it trapped it.
yeah, like pulled it back or destabilized it or something to be sort of reconstituted. I don't know.
But why wouldn't Jack know he's the smoke monster?
Yeah, I don't think
And
it's
of course, the
true.
other thing is
For the
the reason.
record.
Yeah, the other thing is the separation of the smoke monster and the body was the important part. Like,
That's another thing is the Man in Black was dead. His
yeah,
body, and
exactly.
Jack wasn't dead at that point when
Yeah.
he appears. So it's not. I mean, he does die shortly after, but he wasn't dead yet.
And if Locke is not the smoke monster when the cork is unplugged, then what's his body?
I know we talked about that. I don't know if that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing. I I don't think that's what should have happened.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Get there. Stay tuned, everybody, to the end of this conversation. It's coming. All right. Well, until next time.
All right. Thanks
Thanks for
for
listening.
listening. See you next time. Bye.